What is good, Raider Nation? I hope everybody out there is having a great day. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Sometimes my audio doesn't come through, but we have a fantastic show today, man. We have two special guests that will be live with us. We'll have Andy from Raiders Football Talk as well as Raid the Tape. Man, I hope you guys are all having a great Sunday. I've had a super long weekend this weekend, so I'm pumped up to get into some Raiders talk. Shout out to Johnny Sanchez, who just became a member. Shout out to you. Docs, shout out to you as well. Man, I'm pumped up, man. With that being said, I appreciate the confirmation of the audio. I'm gonna add Andy from Raiders Football Talk.
Yo, what's good?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Nothing much. You know, normal, typical Sunday here in the Bay Area.
Absolutely, man. Where are you at exactly in the Bay Area?
Right here in Oakland, right here in Ghost Town, West Oakland, man. You know.
Okay. I actually just drove. I just drove through. I came from Sacramento, so I drove that way.
That's what's up.
The weather's much different, man, out there as opposed to out here. So
no, and that stuff it gets colder.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I'm pumped up though, man. This should be a great show. We'll have Raid the Tape joining us soon. I want to get your opinions, man. First and foremost, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. It's the first time you've been on the show. If you guys are not subscribers to Andy, go check his YouTube channel out at Raiders Football Talk. You put out a lot of good content, man. And I know a lot of people here will or probably have already at least checked you out. I want your opinions, man. What do you think about the draft, man? What do you think about the draft? How did you feel initially with the first round pick, and then how did you kind of feel overall?
Oh yeah, just starting off with the whole draft thing. I think because that first day, pick 17, I did like a little live reaction video, and that thing was up on some like draft reaction pages and stuff like that. Like I think everybody knows, bro. Like nobody expected Alex Leatherwood. Maybe Raid the Tape. You know, I seen him like predicted a bit, but I think the value at the time, we had more value in other picks, right? And that's what we were more frustrated in. Not the player. The player is a good player. But the value and where we got him at, I believe that's where we were frustrated as a fan base. But first, with that pick, man, my reaction was just like, why? Right? I felt like much other people felt maybe you could have got somebody better. Because, you know, Darrisaw was still on the board. He was my number one tackle for us if we were to get a tackle in the first round. My whole thing with Tevin Jenkins was I felt like he held too much. That was my thing, right? And I know that everybody with a silver and black jersey has a target on their back, so that was not gonna go well with us at all. I mean, I had Darrisaw as my guy. He was there. He ended up going 27 to the Vikings.
Yeah, something like that.
You know, people were saying that he could have went to that Alex Leatherwood could have went to Baltimore. At the end of the day, we got who we wanted. We got Moehrig, and we got a tackle of the future. So if I had to really give this draft grade, probably a B+, solid B+. You know, it can't be an A. We haven't seen them put it on the field yet. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man, because a lot of people were super upset with that pick, that Alex Leatherwood pick, and I'm not gonna lie, I was upset, right? I would have rather had Christian Darrisaw, and I'm not gonna switch my opinion, right? I'll stick with it. Right now, I would rather have Christian Darrisaw, and I hope I get proven wrong. I hope Alex Leatherwood has the better career. But I've watched enough film among the two guys to know that Darrisaw does not lose, right? And I understand there's a competition variance, right? One plays at Virginia Tech, and the other one plays at Alabama. So there's definitely a difference in the competition. But Darrisaw dominated, right? At the same time, Leatherwood did lose a ton, right? People talk about how he not only did he have a lot of penalties, I think he had like 7 or 8 penalties. He gave up, I think, a couple sacks in his final year. And I saw him lose, right? Like I watched the film and I've seen him lose a few times. But I do hope it pans out. Some people are asking about Raid the Tape. He will be on with us in just a second. I know he had a couple of things he had to take care of, so he'll be here with us in just a second. But while we're waiting for him, I want to know your thoughts and opinions, man.
Okay.
What do you think about Moehrig, Gillespie, and Diablo? specifically regarding the fit to the Gus Bradley scheme. Like, do you think it makes sense? Do you think it doesn't make sense? How do you think that's going to play out?
As far as for Moehrig, I mean, he's the guy that we all wanted, right? We all wanted him. I mean, he should be our starting single high. If that's where he were to start, he should be our starting single high this year. As far as Diablo and Gillespie, bro, when I heard that we got Gillespie, I was hyped, man. I was so happy. And, after looking at it a bit more, a lot of people have him as a free safety or a strong safety, but we got to think outside the box a little bit because that's what Gus Bradley does. You saw what one of our guys that we have right now that he brought in, Casey Hayward, also played free safety for the Chargers, right? Desmond King, he made his money as a free safety, strong safety, corner, outside corner, slot corner. I really feel like as for Gillespie, I feel like if he were to fill in for a rotational piece, I have a feeling that he could beat out Carl Joseph if he were to really put it together, and he could beat out Carl Joseph as a rotation. But I really feel like he could be used more as like that Desmond King role, right? Desmond King was used everywhere, inside the box and out. I like Gillespie a lot. And as far as for Divine Diablo, I think one of your biggest things on him was that maybe he didn't shoot the gap right and all that kind of stuff, or he was a step too slow. I have a feeling that the only reason why he was a step too slow on a lot of these gaps was because he knew that he was the safety. So if he missed out, or if he took an extra step, or if he really engaged all the way and he missed the tackle, he knew that the player could have went for 6.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
That's why I feel like maybe he was that bit hesitant, that step slower than what we want in a linebacker, because we know that that's what he's going to be playing with us, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like, if Gus Bradley picked all these guys, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. Are these Gus Bradley's guys? I mean, I'm going to assume so, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly. He's had success with a couple of going into different systems and then kind of drafting his players. With the Seahawks, he got Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. He got a couple of those players as well. And then with the Jaguars, people are saying he was the guy that won in Jalen Ramsey, and you guys see how that kind of worked out, right? And then of course he went to the Chargers. He's been able to develop talent, and I feel like that's one of the Raiders' biggest issues. We can't develop talent. Like, we'll get guys like Cleveland Ferrell and Max Crosby, guys that have all this potential, and we can never develop those guys. I do hope that Gus Bradley is able to develop those guys. Now, in your opinion, is Diablo going to be a starting linebacker for the Raiders? Will he just first year be a rotational guy, eventually take over? Or do you think he'll play some safety? Like, what do you think about Diablo? Because that's the guy that impresses me the most, right? From a physical standpoint. How do you feel about him?
Yeah. As far as for Diablo, if he could be a starting linebacker this year, I honestly do feel like him and Morrow, I think that it's each other's spot to lose or gain, right? I really feel like probably week 5, week 6, maybe Diablo wins that role over Morrow. But I really do think that Diablo in this league, he could be a linebacker. And I do think that actually this year that we'll see him more than just a rotational guy. I really feel like at times, look, we have a ton of weak side linebackers on this roster, man. It's forcing Corey Littleton to be that Sam. He has to be strong side linebacker this year because of it. And as far as for Diablo, man, I think that he really could be a starting linebacker this year if he really put it all together, which I feel like he should be able to just fine. We got a very, very good linebacker coach with Richard Smith too. Like, we have some good staff on that defensive side of the ball now, and I really like that. But yeah, that's what I feel about Divine Diablo, man.
Absolutely, man. I love it, man. I love that you're pumped up about him, because I'm pumped up about him too, man. And if I haven't said it already, man, I do really appreciate the fact that you're able to come on. I go live every Sunday and Wednesday, and going forward, at least, I do plan to bring on as many different content creators as I can. Raider Nation really does have the best content creators. Like, that's a true fact. I try to follow other content creators to just kind of get some insight on how those teams are building. It's hard, man. It's hard to find those other content creators.
Hard to compete with us, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm pumped up because, it's very interesting because we all wanted Moehrig. Like, right away, everybody wanted Moehrig. And I feel like part of why people were upset with the Alex Leatherwood pick was because of the fact that we wanted Moehrig, right? 100%. Everyone was like, take him with pick 17. Obviously, at the end of the day, us fans, people that are looking at it from the outside, we don't have all the information that coaches and GMs and scouts have, right? They know that Moehrig had an issue with his back, right? They knew that before we ever knew that, or before we would ever know that. Obviously, Moehrig fell, and it worked out for us, and I'm glad that it worked out the way it did. Do you think Moehrig will be a true free safety? Do you think he'll be a strong safety, a slot guy, or do you think he'll kind of move all over? Like, what are your thoughts on him, and what are your expectations? I've seen some people say he has the potential to be the defensive rookie of the year this year. I don't want to put that label on him or give him that sort of hype, but how do you feel about him in terms of like his fits and do you think he has the potential to be a rookie of the year?
No, yeah, I feel like with Trayvon Moehrig, I really feel like we'll see him a lot this year at deep, high, free safety, however you want to call it, or slot, right? Not saying that he'll start in the slot at all. He won't start there, but we got to think about it. This defense, we're gonna see more fits than what we saw with Paul Guenther, bro. So
Absolutely.
So there could be times where we're actually only going to put 3 rushers out there, and we need 2 guys in the slot. You could put Moehrig down there, and you could put Gillespie as the deep high. Like, there's a lot of things that you could do with this new whole like revamped defense. Like, you look at what we had last year on this roster and this year, it's night and day, the difference. Like, and I like it a lot. I'm really happy that we did get a guy like Gillespie. But the thing is with Gillespie, it was interesting to see that for Mike Mayock, he said that he stuck out like a sore thumb in the 5th round, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see where they had him on their board. Same thing with Kuntz, right? They had him as a 2nd round pick.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing. We're a fan base, right? We have speculation on where we think guys should go, but they're the ones that are actually the ones drafting it. So for us to say that, we reached on Leatherwood, bro, we actually would have reached on Moehrig if he was going to go to pick 43, right?
Absolutely.
Same thing with Jock. Jock went to 52.
Yep.
And we wanted him. I wanted him at times at 17 as well. Like, that's a reach, right? But at the end of the day, we're not the ones picking the players. So, I mean, I feel like we did real good this year, man. I really feel like we're in a good spot to really compete this year.
Absolutely, man. I don't disagree with that. It's interesting because we have had such a good offense. Like for a number of years now, we've had a good offense. And we're going to talk about the offense a little bit later on. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on Derek Carr. But we'll get into that in a second. Just keep it on the defensive side of the ball. We've had such a great offense so many times, and it's always been that defense. It's failed us over and over and over again. Even when we had Mac, for the number of years we had Mac, I think our highest ranked defense was, I think, somewhere in the 20th or 19th or 20th, somewhere around there. We really still kind of sucked, right? But like, if we can get Derek Carr the 20th ranked defense again this year, which still isn't that good, but just the 20th, and I think we're in the playoffs. I think that is all we need for our offense based off how our offense has kind of been. Do you think that this year there are real expectations to make the playoffs? Like, do you feel like we can make the playoffs this year?
No, yeah. I feel like the expectation this year, it's playoffs. It's like 2 years in a row for our 2019 draft class and our 2020 draft class. At one point in the season, we were fighting to be in the playoff spot, right? All the way until week 17 of 2019, we were mathematically still in it for one point of the year. Whether we were going 8-8 or not, or 7-9 or not, we were still in it mathematically. And we had a way worse roster in 2019 than where we have now, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that 2019 draft class did amazing, but 2020. Yet again, we were in a position to win more football games. We could have won 11 games this year. I mean, like, with that bad of a defense, right? I really feel like this year the expectation is playoffs. Not is there an expectation for the playoffs? I think that is the expectation. Like, you have to do it. Because there's no excuses now. What is the excuse? We brought in a veteran in the secondary. We brought in a very good young free safety. We got we have like 15 people in that defensive line room. Our linebackers, yeah, you can say that there needs to be a little bit more competition in the linebacking room, but we have guys that have proved it in that linebacking room as well. So I really feel like there is no excuse this year to not make the playoffs, man.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for the season start. It's crazy because right now, like the draft just happened, and for the longest time, we're waiting for the draft. The draft just ended, and now it's like we're waiting for like the off season to kind of begin camp, and then we'll wait until that first preseason comes around. I can't wait, man. I'm a huge football fan. I love observing the game from an outside perspective. I'm pumped up, man. And with that, I'm gonna actually add my man Raid the Tape, who just got on right now. What's good, man? How you doing?
Good with the nation?
What is good, man? How you doing?
Can you hear me? Everything good?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing good, man. What y'all got on? What y'all got on the topic right now? What we doing?
So we're talking about. So we hit on the fits for Moehrig, Gillespie, and Diablo. Do you want to just give your thoughts and opinions on that? Where do you think these guys fit within the defense?
Nation already know what I think about them, man. Diablo, I think he'll be a competent linebacker for sure. As far as Gillespie, he got some work to do. I do like him, but he got some work to do, definitely, especially because if you watch that last Raiders episode when Gruden was actually talking, he said that we want to see Moehrig and Gillespie down the middle. So I'm assuming that they're going to be single high, and that means Gillespie. Basically, we got the answer. He's going to be a free safety. You know what I mean? Some people say free safety, some people say strong safety, but I think that right there kind of like tells us, okay, he's going to be that depth person at free safety.
When did Gruden say that?
In that last episode that they just
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He said he'll line up right down the middle. Those were his exact words.
I was paraphrasing, but it was Moehrig and Gillespie will be a Fury.
He said we want those guys down the middle, I believe.
Something like there'll be a Fury or there'll be something down the middle. Okay. So I was like, okay. So I was like, that's kind of implying, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but I would like to see Gillespie in a few different spots, whether it would be subbing at strong safety, which I think we have a lot of those. So, I mean, maybe he'll get there, but definitely as like a big nickel somewhere in that slot spot, depending on who's right there in the playing wide receiver. But that's basically what I think of them. And I already got tape on both of them. So if anybody want to check that out, go ahead.
Yep. If you guys are not subscribed to Raid the Tape, his YouTube channel is literally Raid the Tape. And then Andy is Raiders Football Talk. So make sure you guys check both of those guys out. I really appreciate both you guys hopping on today, man. You know, DG, I reached out to you, I think, a couple weeks ago. And then Andy, I reached out to him more recently. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just get both you guys on here. I know you guys have done some shows in the past on some other channels. So I was like, I got to get you guys on, man. You guys have definitely been growing a ton. You guys have been getting your fan or your subscriber count up. You guys have been doing a great job. So shout out to both of you guys.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely, man. So I want to just talk about the super chat real quick. Andrew said he is a Virginia Tech alumni. He says Diablo is garbage. What the F y'all on? If y'all keep this up, I'm not watching no more. We needed to grab Sherman. Well, first and foremost, I appreciate the fact that you tuned in and you are watching. If you don't want to watch based off of our opinions, you know, that's up to you. You know, I have my opinions, and I know everybody doesn't agree with me on my opinions. Andy's not going to agree with me. Raid the Tape's not going to agree with me. We all have our own opinions, and that's okay, you know. But you being a Virginia Tech alumni, you know, you should represent guys that are in the NFL from your school, man. That's a big deal. Especially since we haven't seen him in the NFL, right? If he goes as high as he ended up being drafted, there has to be a reason for that. I don't think Gus Bradley is that much of an idiot that he's going to take a guy in the third round who is quote unquote garbage. What do you guys think about that, man?
I think you're right.
I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, Andrew has his opinion. I mean, if you think he's garbage, we'll find out. I'm not. I mean, I want to say as far as he's garbage, but
do you guys think? Do you guys think Diablo will be a gunner at all this year? At all, like at any point, will he be a gunner? At least one play. Do you guys think he'll be a gunner?
One play at gunner, I just don't see it.
What do you think, man? Raid, what do you think? No. You know what's interesting, because the first year we got Waller, this was before the year he actually blew up, right? I think we signed him sometime in the middle of the season. The Raiders lined Darren Waller up as a gunner, and I put that video on my Twitter. But yeah, it was interesting kind of see like that Darren Waller, who's a tight end. You don't put a tight end in that gunner. That's not typical. You put your fastest guys that are able to get off the line of scrimmage, you put those guys at gunner, right? We for the longest time we had like Taiwan Jones playing gunner. We have guys like maybe not Henry Ruggs, who's a highly drafted player, but like Rico Gafford would play gunner, right? Because he's quick. It's interesting, man. I could see him definitely lining up at gunner. Shout out to you, Dirty, for the super chat. Or I'm sorry,
I'm not opposed to it or anything. I mean, if it happens, it happens. He got the speed, he got the size.
Absolutely, man. I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions, man. I want to just, give me your thoughts and opinions on the defense. Is it going to be a top 15 defense? Is it not? What's your? I'm going to have you go first, Andy, and then we'll have read the tape answer that afterwards. What are your thoughts?
Top 15? No. Just I mean, that's asking for what? 15 spots higher than where we were last year. That would be a crazy improvement. Obviously, we would all love to see that. I wouldn't be shooting for the stars, though. I would give us like maybe an 18th, 19th. I think that we have a lot of potential on this defense, but I think me and Ray the Tape talked about it when he was on my live show just the other day. I mean, our whole defense is unproven as a unit, right? Each one of them has their own personal accolades that they've, that they've gained, but we haven't proved it together as a team. Like, we haven't done it together yet. We haven't even seen them all suit up at once. Regardless, we're just now getting the numbers. So it's like, it's real tough. But that's my take on the defense right now. 15th, I think that's too high at the moment.
What do you think, Ray?
I would say around 18 to 20 would be reasonable. I wouldn't oppose 15 because I feel like we were so bad last year that a significant jump just wouldn't be a surprise to me. Like, we're just that bad, you know what I mean? Sure. And then we have a whole different, literally a whole new staff, So I could see a jump like that. But me personally, I would say between 18 and 20. Like I keep saying, every time, Gus Bradley is my favorite offseason acquisition. He will be until he proves me wrong, you know what I mean? Until something crazy happens. I don't think he's like the cream of the crop of defensive coordinators, but he's a competent defensive coordinator. He's proven it on multiple teams, and I'm just glad he's on our team this time.
Absolutely. It's interesting because this year, for the first time in a long time, right, I feel like we finally have a competent defensive coach, and it's not even that long ago, right? We had Del Rio just a little while ago, but because we're stuck with Paul Guenther for a number of years, we haven't had that guy that could go to a team and build the defense, right? Paul Guenther had never built a defense, and Paul Guenther was brought in, and John Gruden learned, right? That's a huge mistake. If you're going to bring a coach in to build a defense, you got to make sure he's able to do it, or he's at least done it in the past. Now, Gus Bradley has done it in the past. He's done it 3 separate times. The Seahawks, Jaguars, and Chargers. He's done it 3 separate times. So I don't see why he couldn't do it a 4th time. The only thing that would hold him back is the fact that maybe the players just aren't that good. But I don't think that's the case, right? I don't think that it's necessarily that the players are not that good. I feel like we have a couple of really solid players. What are your guys' thoughts on Nick Kwiatkowski? Raid, I'm going to have you go first, and then we'll have Andy answer that as well. What are your guys' thoughts, and what are your guys' expectations of Nick Kwiatkowski? Some people have said he's our best defensive player, and I might not disagree with that. What do you guys think about that?
I'm one of those people, man. I'm one of those people to where he was one of the best defensive players we had last year, if not the best, like by a wide margin, because middle linebackers come a dime a dozen. Like, you're not going to, like, I don't know if I used that phrase correctly, but you're not going to find them like a lot. A middle linebacker, like strictly middle linebacker, you don't find them a lot. And the way he was playing last year, I liked it. And I always did like him when he was in Chicago. Anyways, he was always on the bench, but I was like, man, that dude's a starter. Like, he's on the bench, but that dude is he would be a starter for us. I know that for a damn fact. We finally got him. I'm like, look, we got a quality middle linebacker. I like him. I know I hear that he might not fit like in Gus's scheme or anything like that, but I don't know. I like him personally. I feel like he would be he's a solid piece to our defense, and we got to keep him.
What do you think, man?
Yep. Dude, I mean, quick, like he said, he's last year for sure the best linebacker on this team. That's without a doubt. I mean, the whole expectations for Nick Kwiatkowski, I mean, I had made a video not too long ago where I basically broke down everybody on this roster, and the one position where I did feel like maybe we needed a bit more competition was that middle linebacker position, right? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I want Nick Kwiatkowski to start week 1, but we all preach it every single day. You know, competition makes people better, and I feel like Kwiatkowski is that one person on the roster where he sticks out, and he has nobody riding his back trying to get his spot. I mean, what is it? Max Richardson is our UDFA linebacker. Yep. But besides that, we don't have nobody competing with Nick Kwiatkowski. And as far as the whole thing where he may not fit in this scheme, I think that's that's just speculation in my opinion, because this scheme is built to stop the run. Like it's to stop the run first and then go deep. That's what it's. I mean, you have 8 men in the box. He is a great run stopper. Why I don't understand why he wouldn't fit in the scheme. And if he were to be out on any plays, it would probably just be strictly passing situations, right? But I like Kwiatkowski. I think he'll probably stay as our linebacker 1, or for sure our Mike linebacker. He'll start. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Kwiatkowski.
Absolutely. You know, I totally agree with both of your guys' takes, man. I think Kwiatkowski is going to be a great inside linebacker for the Raiders. Last year, I would say he was our best defensive player, right? I think it's hard to argue against that. Or at least one of the top 3 players on our defense. And that doesn't say a lot, right? Our defense was trash last year. But I love Kwiatkowski as an inside linebacker. I honestly think if Gus Bradley can get out of what he's gotten out of his players in the past, right? Average players, and he's turned them into really good football players. I think Kwiatkowski will be a perfectly fine player. At the end of the day, man, I watch Max Richardson. Andy, you mentioned it. He's our undrafted free agent. He's from FSU. FSU is a good football school, man. They play good competition. I like Max, man. I really like him. And obviously, I'm not saying he's going to replace Kwiatkowski, right? So don't think I'm saying that. But I think he's a good football player. And I love the fact that we're bringing in competition. Because if you told me what was our one issue with the defense outside of Paul Gunther, I would say it was the fact that we didn't have depth. We didn't have guys who could play on first downs and then come out on third downs, right? We had one guy that had to play literally on every freaking down, and it really impacted our defense.
We had Eric Harris starting, man. Like that's just saying it all. And just to your point, we had Eric Harris starting, y'all. Like that don't even make sense. Eric Harris is a depth player. This dude is strictly depth. That's it. When we see him get picks the previous year, that was because he was coming in to play in those depth, because he was a depth player. You know, we had Carl Joseph still. But last year we had him starting. That's a depth player. Nevin Lawson, depth player. He's not supposed to be starting. That's how bad our depth was last year.
Yeah, our depth was so bad that we had to stay in the same personnel the whole season. Like we didn't have a personnel change ever. Like we couldn't even have a personnel change on pass rushing situations because our pass rushers had to play first and second down. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was sad to see, bro.
Absolutely.
Like was it? The 1 week that we had a little bit of depth and we could switch up the personnel was what, against the Jets when we were able to rotate in Vic Beasley, and what, our defensive line actually proved something that week. And then, you know, what was his name? Cleveland Ferrell got hurt, and then what? Arden Key had to start. Like we had no depth. Like that, it was really bad.
Absolutely. Now that brings me to I think that just gets deeper into the conversation. That brings me to a question: what does that mean as far as Mike Mayock being the GM? The fact that we had no damn depth. Does that fall on him? Does that fall on Gruden? How do you guys take that? Because that's part of the game. You got to have depth. So what do you take from that, Sanjit?
So here's the thing, right? Like we went out and brought guys like Tanner Muse, right, who got hurt, and Lynn Bowden, who we traded before the season started. Demarius Randall cut before the first game, right? Like we tried, but at the end of the day, those things didn't work out, right? And even players like LaMarcus Joyner, who we brought in a couple years back, we cut ties with him, right? And here's the biggest issue I have with the Raiders. We go and sign these guys from the Rams, like Littleton and Joyner. We pay these guys big money from the Rams to come here. Why can't we just draft our freaking players? Like, why can't we just in-house generate good, talented players? Why the hell are we having to pay all these players? You know, most of the time that does not work. Most of the time, right? Obviously, it works. So far, it's worked with Kwiatkowski, but most of the time, if you can't generate your own in-house talent, you're not going to be a good football team.
That's exactly why we weren't able to keep our 2016 roster together, because we couldn't just keep generating talent that you know, those guys had to end up starting every single game, and a lot of them were on the back end of their careers. Like we couldn't keep everybody together, and that, like you said, it comes a lot of it because we couldn't generate our own guys. Like the most talent that we generated is in 2019 in that draft class.
Yep.
The 2019 draft class
was with Reggie McKenzie when he brought in, you know, Gabe, Khalil.
Yeah,
Carr.
that 14 draft class was really good.
That was mean, man. That was mean.
I would say that the 19 class might be better than the 14 class, right?
Obviously, no, man. No.
Obviously, we don't have anyone like Khalil Mack out of that draft, but from a depth perspective, like, and another thing to consider, right? It was 3 years after having that great draft class that the Raiders went to the playoffs, and this is going to be the third year after having that 2019 class that we're about to make the playoffs. So, you know, I think the 2019 class was super deep. It might not be better than the 2014 class. I'll take a step back. We got to let these guys prove it, you know, especially when you consider guys like, you know, Justin Ellis, TJ Carey. These guys are all still in the NFL, and these were like our late round guys, right? I think, you know, other than Mack and Carr that year and Gabe Jackson, a lot of those guys are still in the NFL, and most players last like 2-3 years in the NFL. So obviously that speaks to how great of a class that class was. But all right, let's jump forward, man. I want to stay obviously with the defensive side of the ball. We talked a little about Kwiatkowski. What's the expectations for Ferrell? Because in my opinion, if Cleveland Ferrell doesn't turn his career around this year, he has to be labeled a bust, right? Like, there's no way we can keep giving him a free pass. Like, the production needs to be there. And not just the run-stopping production. The production in the pass rush has to be there. What do you guys think about that?
You want to take this one, Andy, or
damn, dog, that's tough. But yeah, I mean, going into his third season, right?
Yep, third season.
Third season. Yeah, man, the production has to be there. I mean, we saw it happen just this year with Solomon Thomas, bro. He was getting fucking torched by their whole fan base. I mean, even when that defensive line had success and he was still starting on that D line, he didn't do nothing. He didn't do anything. Now, as far as Cleveland Ferrell, I think that he has some high expectations, right? I mean, help in this defense, he's not going to be playing all the way out on the edge. He'll probably be at the 5 or 6 technique with the way that this defensive line is made, right? But I think that Cleveland Ferrell, in my opinion, for him to be able to not be labeled some sort of bust, he needs to have over 6 sacks. Minimum. We're talking about a 17-game season. Like, absolutely. You need to have at least 6 sacks, and that's being modest, right? Because we all know what he brings to that run defense, right? He is a solid run defender, but 6 sacks, I think you're solid. I think that you can keep going, and you know he'll still get paid on this team, in my opinion. I mean, he's a guy that wants to win too. I mean, this dude was in Clemson. He was not used to losing, and that's all we've been doing when he's down here, right? I mean, Cleveland Ferrell is going to have a good season, in my opinion. I mean, that's just what I think. I give him 6.5, maybe 7 sacks this year, and I'm good with it because we have good pass rush specialists on this team now. I mean, Kuntz is kind of ridiculous. Yannick Ngakoue, he's proven. Max Crosby, he's proven. So we have our true pass rushers, but I think we need some more pressure on that inside.
No, I agree with you. I think Cleveland Ferrell is going to have a better season. I think this will be his best season by far. I just don't think he's going to accumulate the sacks people want to see because he's not playing just a pass rusher all the time. You know what I mean? If you really go look, he's just not always going after the quarterback. Sometimes he's getting moved inside, and I know people have heard that before. They heard it the first year, whatever the case may be. But he played the most inside last year. But another thing is he has to stay healthy. He missed too many games last year. He moved inside last year the most that he has since he's been here. But I'm high. I have high expectations for him, and I don't think he's on the hot seat at all. I honestly don't. I think Gruden and Mayock like him, and whatever they watch, they like him. They don't see him on the hot seat. Us as fans, we may see him, but I don't think Gruden and Mayock do. I just don't.
You know, that's interesting that you say that because so what if Cleveland Ferrell gets like 2 sacks again this year? And, you know, at what point are we going to I expect more out of him. And I feel like I don't want to, pass rushing is obviously Cleveland Ferrell's worst aspect of his game, right? It just is. There's no way around it. You watch him try to pass rush. The guy just does not have pass rushing moves, right? Physically, he is gifted, right? He's big, he's lengthy, he's tall. Physically, he is gifted. Physically, he can outbeat people. Then that's how he defends the run, right? Like he is bigger than a lot of guys that are coming at him. He knows how to slip. He has good bend and all that good stuff. But he doesn't have good hands. And I feel like without good hands, it's hard to get after the quarterback. But he's a defensive end, man, and we need 10 sacks from the guy. So if he gets 2 sacks and Ngagwe gets 10 sacks and Crosby gets 10 sacks and Kuntz gets 4 sacks in a limited amount of time, is Cleveland Ferrell now going to be the 4th guy behind those other 3 guys, or should we keep giving him a free pass?
That is tough.
It just, to me, I'm telling y'all, it just depends on how he plays. It just depends. When you go watch that Jets game, he was at D tackle when he got that sack. When one of those sacks he got against the Jets, he was at D tackle. Vic Beasley was on the edge. Max Crosby was on the other edge, and he was at D tackle. And then they did a stunt, and he went around. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Imagine these other players trying to get moved inside when they've been playing edge rusher. Imagine trying to do that with Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, Malcolm Kuntz. These guys, everybody wants to say they're a liability in the run game, but the one guy we have that can play the run, he's on the hot seat. And I understand, though, everybody wants to see him get sacks, but I'm just telling y'all right now, I'm not speaking from a fan base. I'm just saying Gruden and Mayock, I believe they like him. They see a lot of upside with him. So as a fan base, yes, I didn't want Ferrell myself. I wanted to grab Devin White or something. Ed Oliver would have been, that would have been dope right now to have Ed Oliver. But like I said, I think Mayock and Gruden really like Cleveland Ferrell. I really do.
Now, Watts Raider said he's actually a better inside player than he is an outside player. Now, here's the thing, right? I think to play on the inside, it's fine if you're playing on the inside on 3rd downs, but to play on the inside, if it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and 2, I think that's a little bit different, right? That's a little bit more tougher. What do you guys think? Like, would you guys be cool if Cleveland Ferrell just became a full-time 3-tech defensive tackle, or do you guys think that would not make sense?
You can go first.
How much does he weigh? Does anybody know? Like,
he's like 280.
Yeah,
at the most.
No, see, I just couldn't see him on the inside as far as being in that like run situation. I'm not saying he would get demolished or anything like that. I think he could hold his own, but once the double team would get on him, or just like if that's where they gotta go, it's over. You know what I mean? It's
over, exactly. Bro.
Yeah. That's not saying he's weak or anything like that, but people need to understand a defensive end, a D tackle is 2 different positions.
Way different.
If you put him at D tackle in a pass rushing situation, he's going to eat. I'm telling y'all, he's going to eat right now. Yep. But if you do that in the run game, it's not going to work out.
It's not going to go well, man.
That's why you don't see the production. Everybody's good. Because this is the funny thing, right? Who's going to be on the edge when it's a pass rushing situation? Who? Yannick and Malcolm Kuntz? Yannick and Max Crosby? So if they're in there when you're supposed to get the quarterback and get sacks, how the hell is Cleveland Ferrell going to get a sack?
That's a great point.
Unless you move him to the inside, but then everybody wants Solomon Thomas on the inside. And then, goddamn, why would you want Solomon Thomas on the inside when he hasn't done shit for the 49ers, but you don't want Cleveland Ferrell to – like, it doesn't make sense to me. Solomon Thomas was doing the same thing that Cleveland Ferrell does for the Raiders. Solomon Thomas was playing defensive end and D tackle.
Yep. That's
what Cleveland Ferrell does for us. Solomon Thomas was straight ass, though. Like, he was straight garbage.
So do you think Cleveland Ferrell is better than Solomon Thomas?
Man. Y'all got to.
You think Cleveland Ferrell is better than Solomon Thomas?
Level. You can't say this for that guy, but then this
Cleveland Ferrell is much better than Solomon Thomas. Yes.
So do you think? So do both of you guys think that Cleveland Ferrell is a better football player than Solomon Thomas?
Yes.
By far.
I agree with that, man. I totally agree with that.
Technique, football at its own. Oh, man, Cleveland Ferrell by far. The thing with Solomon Thomas is that the dude is a physical monster. That's like when I say, oh, this dude has genetics, that means like he's built a certain way to where it's just like nobody's built like that. Like you're going to the NFL just because of how you're built.
Absolutely.
That's how Solomon Thomas is. You feel me? But you have to have football skills.
No,
it's like having the fastest speed out there, but you have no hips to turn at cornerback.
I talk about that all the time, man. Look, Solomon Thomas, you're right. Genetically, he is the best he's one of the best guys built genetically. But if you can't use your hands, if you can't use your arms, if you can't, use your brain and beat a guy just being smarter than the next guy, you're not going to have a good NFL career. And that's the thing with Solomon Thomas, right? I know you talked about it in your video specifically. He's genetically gifted, right? And we totally get that. But yeah, obviously Watts made the point of potentially moving Cleveland Ferrell to the inside full time. Here's the thing with Gus Bradley's defense, right? I don't think a lot of people understand this. Gus Bradley is going to have 5 defensive linemen on the field on run downs, right? Yannick Ngakoue is going to be playing on the very far outside of a tight end or whatever in a like a wide 9 type of look, right? It won't be a wide 9. It'll be like he'll be playing the 7 technique. Outside, he'd be in a 2-point stance, standing up, coming off the edge super hard. And then right on the inside of him will be Cleveland Ferrell. And on the inside of him, we'll have 2 defensive tackles. And then on the very outside, on the other side of the field of Yannick Ngakoue and Cleveland Ferrell, we'll have Max Crosby. So we can use all 3 of those guys at the same time. Yannick Ngakoue is a Leo. He's not a defensive end for the Gus Bradley defense. Those are 2 completely different things. Which also means Yannick Ngakoue might be asked to drop back in coverage if he has to. And essentially, we'll have 2 linebackers in, right? That will be basically the front that will be showing teams. So, yeah, I definitely think Cleveland Ferrell needs to step his game up. I think he needs to definitely get some sacks. And I think he's right there. I don't think he's that far off. Which brings me to the next guy, man. That's Jonathan Abram. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on this real quick. I'm sure both of you guys know this. I'm very high on Jonathan Abram. I think Jonathan Abram, more than anybody else, could be the best football player on our defense. I've stated that, and I've gotten killed over that opinion. But I have that opinion of Jonathan Abram because I've asked 2 Raiders guys that I have interviewed now, Colton Miller and Max Crosby, and I've asked them to give me input on some of the players that could potentially be superstars, all pros, and both guys just happened to mention Jonathan Abram. That would not have happened if they did not truly believe that, right? At the same time, when you watch Jonathan Abram make these special type of plays, right, like when that Bills receiver is coming on that end around and he splits two blockers and he hits that guy for a loss of 4 yards. At the same time, when Kareem Hunt's running and he smacks Kareem Hunt, at the same time, he'll smack Christian McCaffrey, right? These guys that are better football players than most guys. Jonathan Abram's not scared to hit them, and he does hit them. Now, I know he has pass coverage issues, but that's for Gus Bradley to fix. What are your guys' expectations on Jonathan Abram? Andy, I'm going to ask you this first, and what do you kind of think he's going to do this year?
I said it before, man. I think that right now it looks like a one of those bold predictions or crazy predictions, but I think that with Jonathan Abram actually being able to move inside into the box full time, because we've heard John Gruden say it, that's where he wants Abram to play. He said that's where he believes that Gus Bradley's going to have Jonathan Abram playing, that, Derwin James, Cam Chancellor kind of, position, not role, but position. I said last year, bro, he had 2 picks when he was inside the box, right? His 2 picks were from him playing inside the box in strong safety. I really have no doubt in my mind that if he's playing inside the box full time, that he can find himself 4 or 5 picks this year. Because you got to think about it. He wasn't in the box as much as he was playing free safety, right? He got that pick on Cam Newton. Yeah, that was a bad pass by Cam Newton, but you also have to think about it. He puts himself, the way that he's so energetic and he's always trying to hit somebody, he's always near the ball. That's what's really good about Jonathan Abram. He's always near the ball. That Falcons game, he was inside the box, but he only was able to get that pick because he was flying towards the receiver that Isaiah Johnson made a play on. So that's why the ball came to him, right? And Jonathan Abram, him being 8 to 10 yards closer, or 5 to 7 yards closer to the play this year, with him not having to play freaking 15 yards deep because he's at free safety, I see Jonathan Abram having a very good year. I really do, because he'll essentially be like that 3rd or 4th linebacker because he'll be so close to the line of scrimmage, but he won't actually be the linebacker. He'll be the strong safety.
Absolutely.
No, I agree with both of you guys. The expectation is high for Abram. I think it has been ever since we drafted him. I just think he wasn't really a true free safety.
Yep.
I feel like we all felt that way. The dude's out here hitting and killing people on the football field, but we got him as far as possible away from the damn boxes we could have him. So Paul Guenther, I'm glad he's gone because
Yep.
come on, that was a no-brainer. You know what I mean? But I have high expectations for Abram, and it's just, but I'm at a weird place to where it's like I have high expectations for Moehrig as well. I'm like, there's no way possible that we could just have two safeties just playing out of their minds at the same time, you know? So for me, I'm trying to figure out, you know, where's that happy medium to where how high is Abram's ceiling, how high is it actually, and how high is Moehrig's? Because think about it. I'm sure you guys want to argue that Moehrig has a high ceiling as well. So does that mean our safety duo is just going to be the best in the league, basically?
I feel like we kind of drafted Moehrig for Abram, so he doesn't feel like he has to do too much, right? Not just because we had a glaring need at free safety, and he feels that, but also, I mean, Abram tried to do too much at times. Like it costed us a game, right? Like
Absolutely,
it costed us at least one game. So Abram feeling that he has to do too much or always needs to make a play. Maybe he'll have a little bit of that weight off his shoulders now because he's going to have Nick Okowski, Corey Littleton, and Divine Diablo all playing next to him. And then he knows that Casey Hayward and Trayvon Mullen and Moehrig are all good back there. Not Nevin Lawson and Keyshawn Nixon and Eric Harris. You know, like I feel like we're a lot more safe back there than we were last year. So I have a lot of high expectations for Abram. I think that he'll meet those expectations as well.
Yeah, and you made a really good point. I want to touch on this here because I kind of disagree in a way. You said Abram was trying to do too much last year, which is true. But there are football players who play the game of football at that level where they want to do too much, right? They're always trying to do more than is necessary. And there are players like that out there, and Abram's one of those guys. I don't think that's a negative trait at all. In fact, I would blame the fact that the guys around him sucked, and that was the reason why when he tried to do too much, I think that is some of the times why maybe he failed or maybe it looked worse than it was, right? And we'll use that Chiefs game as an example. Why is it that both of the defensive ends crashed and both guys went to the inside and no one kept contained, and those guys allowed they basically allowed Patrick Mahomes to roll out. Now, I'm not saying that is necessarily positive, that play specifically, right? Because at the end of the day, if Abram kept his coverage, the Chiefs would have kicked the field goal and tied the game, and we would have been looking at overtime most likely, right? And that's obviously not what happened. They threw a touchdown, ultimately won the game. But when I look at a football player and I say that this guy tries to do too much, I like that. I want a guy to do more than is necessary because those are the players that I feel like often become great football players, right? And that's just my personal opinion, but I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you guys think it's bad that he tries to do too much, or do you guys think that that's okay?
I feel like now it's okay because we have a good supporting cast around him. But I think you even asked Max Crosby about that play where they just all crashed in, and he was like, nah, that wasn't designed. Like, we just kind of fucked up and we just did that. Like, but yeah.
What do you think about that, Raid?
No, as far as that, I think we need to figure out what is doing too much and what is being undisciplined. You know what I mean? Discipline can be instilled in you, and once it's instilled in you, it stays around. And you can continue to do too much, but it won't seem as you're drawing a flag or something like that. So I think he just needs to become more disciplined, but continue to play his game.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was a play against the Colts where he laid one of the guys out, one of the receivers, I think, and he got a 15-yard penalty. Those plays are kind of dumb.
That was the Colts game, right?
The Colts game. Yeah. That doesn't make sense, right? Don't do stupid things like that. You're saying be disciplined, and I totally agree. You have to play the game of football in a disciplined manner. But I want Abram to stay aggressive because those aggressive plays will lead to fumbles. They will lead to, maybe he hits the quarterback and we get an interception off of those plays, right? Because Trayvon Mullen's going to do his job, right? He's not going to be aggressive. He's not going to do anything spectacular. Same thing with Damon Arnett, right? From the 1 year that I've seen, he's not going to do too much. Right now, there's really not another player on this defense that's going to try to do, quote unquote, too much, right? I'm pumped up to watch Abram. I'm pumped up to kind of see what Gus Bradley's going to do. We know that Abram in coverage has not been good. We all know that. Hopefully he doesn't have to cover as much. Hopefully the young safeties and Ray, you said something to the tune that you think Moehrig's going to be a really good football player. I think Abrams going to be a really good football player. So do we have like the best safety tandem in the NFL, or is that kind of what we think? I actually do think that. I think over time the Raiders are going to have a great safety duo, and that's going to depend on Moehrig, because I have no question Abrams is going to be a really good football player. I have no question about that. It'll be on if Moehrig can live up to the expectations. It's going to be interesting, man. Do you guys have any final thoughts on the defense? Because we're going to switch over to the offense, and we're going to talk about Derek Carr. And
I just want to touch back on Solomon Thomas. We all know he was playing out of position in San Francisco. I just want to address people in the comments. We all know that. Like Renee House, we know he was playing out of position. We know he was playing at defensive end. But that doesn't change the fact when you go watch the tape, what was he doing at D tackle? Look how many sacks he got, and go see how many he got at D end and D tackle. I'm not going to tell you. You go do your own homework, because people need to start doing their homework. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this is where the fans get kind of confused. And when we say something, they don't really know. It's like, we know these things. You know, we do this, put a lot of hard work into this. And it's like Solomon Thomas, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player. I'm sure he's going to be better if he just plays one position and just works at that one position. Of course, like I said before, his quickness is what makes him good. He has great genetics. His quickness is what makes him good. So when he's on the inside, you're right there on the offensive lineman. You can get past him quicker. When you're out on the edge, it takes about 3-4 steps just to get up to an offensive tackle, because you got to go around. You got to hit that curve. You got to have bend. He doesn't have that. So, of course, but I just wanted to touch on that. That's it.
I real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Dexter Beats, because he left a $5 super chat. We didn't really touch on it. He says Solomon Thomas is a pass rushing 3 technique and will be a stud if used correctly. I think Solomon Thomas might not make the active roster, man. But let's say he does. I want to know you guys' thoughts real quickly, and then we have a couple more super chats. I want to get to those. Is Solomon Thomas a 3-tech defensive tackle, or is he a defensive end for the Raiders?
He's 3-tech for sure. I think we confirmed it when he confirmed it in his presser, and I think someone else also confirmed it. I don't know if it was May.
Gruden also said.
Okay, yeah. So someone else confirmed it. So we know he's going to be at 3-tech, and I hope he does well. I want this man to ball out. Like, I want him to be what everybody expected when he was picked 3rd overall. Right? That's what I want.
Yep.
But I'm not. Me. I'm not going to be biased. I don't really care. If they join the Raiders or not. You're either going to do good or you're not, and I'm just going to base it off of what you have done. I'm not going to base it off expectations, because I've been let down a lot. You know what I mean?
We all have,
let's just see what we have done and just base it off of that.
Absolutely.
We appreciate the super chat, though, sure. Dexter Beats. I hope Solomon Thomas does ball out, man. I hope he is a stud.
Yeah. And then real quick, going back to the little Abram thing, I feel like the whole reason why when how we said quote unquote doing too much hurt him last year was because he had too many assignments in that Paul Guenther defense. So with him leaving his assignment and trying to make a play, it hurt us a little bit more because he had a lot of responsibilities, right? Because Paul Guenther's defense was just horrible. I mean, so for him leaving his assignment, it actually left a bit of more responsibilities, uncovered and that kind of stuff. I want him to stay and do what he does, and that's what he's going to do because that's his kind of player. And that's why him moving into the box is perfect for him, because him leaving his assignment or him leaving his zone is fine because you have Nikolkowski next to him. You have Corey Littleton next to him. You have Moehrig behind him. Like, he will be fine in this system now. Like, it's just the system that's what hurt him, not his actual play. It was the system that hurt him, much like it hurt everybody else on his defense.
Absolutely. The Paul Guenther system is bad, right? Like, people don't understand this, but Paul Guenther had so many rules in the game. He had so many different plays designed for any given week. And that hurts players, right? Like, you have to keep it simple. You have to keep it consistent. And that wasn't Paul Guenther. In your guys' thoughts and opinions, I'm going to assume both you guys agree that Jonathan Abram and Trayvon Moehrig are our starting safeties. I'm going to just assume you guys both agree. Okay, but what about the starting nickel position? Nickel, last year, I think the Raiders ran nickel 80% of the time, or maybe that was like the NFL average. Nickel is ran much more than base defense. Who's the nickel guy, man? Like, I know it's damn sure not going to be Nate Hobbs. Like, we're not going to put a rookie out there. Who's the nickel guy, man? And what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I guess, man, that's a hard one, man. I haven't even watched tape on Hobbs. I'll be honest. I haven't looked recently, but when we first got him, I tried finding some tape on him. I couldn't find like much.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell you about too much of his game. As far as Amik Robertson, which I'm assuming everybody else would assume he'd be the other, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know how they feel about him. I feel like he's going to kind of get like pushed to the side. And now that we got Casey Hayward, I can't see us being on the field without Arnett, Mullen, and Hayward on the field if we have three corners, you know what I mean? And then if we wanted other DBs, they would just be Moehrig and Abram, or you see what I'm saying? So I would say Casey Hayward, honestly.
That's interesting, man. What do you think, Andy?
I would agree, because like how you mentioned that if you have three corners, there's no doubt that it needs to be Arnett, Mullen, and Casey Hayward, right? I actually do feel though that maybe in the beginning weeks, your nickel could be Arnett, and then Arnett wins that spot back as the outside, and then Casey Hayward gets pushed to the nickel, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, maybe for the first couple of weeks, you just need that actual veteran that knows the system inside and out to start there, right? And then, you can have Damon Arnett once he fully gets comfortable with the system. Not saying that he won't be fully comfortable week one, but I think that overall by the end of the season, 110%. That'll be Casey Hayward's spot. He's going to be rolling in that nickel, and I do think there are outside corners. By the end of the year, we're going to have two solid outside corners with Arnett and Mullen. But yeah,
I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. What are the chances that the Raiders end up starting Moehrig at the slot corner position with Abram on the other side playing strong safety, and then put someone like Carl Joseph or even Gillespie deep as a free safety? What are your thoughts on that? Because as you guys know, I know, Raid, you watched the tape. I know for sure you've watched the tape because I've shared it with you. Moehrig played a lot of man-to-man coverage, like a lot of man-to-man coverage at TCU. And I don't know how much film you've watched of Moehrig. If you've watched his film, you probably come to the same conclusion. If we're playing a 8-man box, that means we're going to play cover 3 and cover 1 a lot. Cover 3, if he's playing the nickel, means he'll probably be covering the flats or maybe the curl hooks. At the same time, he might be covered. Cover 1 would be he's playing man-to-man. So that could potentially be a strength of his. What do you guys think about that?
I thinking about it, it sounds like a good idea, but I feel like Moehrig is like our defense's life insurance right now. Like he has to stay in the back of the middle of the field. He has to stay back there. Like he just has to stay back there as the free safety. I feel like we have plenty of guys that could come up and play like a big nickel if we need to, because I feel like the drop off to where Moehrig's game is at free safety compared to putting someone else there versus him at nickel is just too much of a drop off. So I'd rather just keep him at free safety. And we got too many guys: Diablo, Gillespie, Amik, Hobbs. At least one of them better come in there and do something. That's how I see it. And that's another thing. I don't want our players to keep getting away from just playing one position, right? Because I feel like that's making them kind of like lose production or whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of like same thing people were saying about Solomon Thomas. Oh, once he gets back to his natural position, well, damn, can everybody just play their natural position then? You know what I mean? So let's just have assignments for everybody so they can focus, play fast, and let's just leave it that way. That's how I feel about it. What about you, Andy?
Bro, I want Moehrig to stay back there in free safety, right? I'm not saying that he won't play the slot. He'll probably play the slot a lot, right? He'll probably play the slot still a good amount. But as far as starting in the slot, I wouldn't want that, right? If I were to want somebody to start in the slot, I would rather Casey Hayward, who's been in this league for damn near 10 years, to be in the slot over him, and have Moehrig being that, like you said, that life insurance, that last line of defense at free safety. I would rather that if I wanted to do something like that and get real, kind of weird with it. But I feel like we kind of do need to stick with what our players are good at, because we've tried doing too much. And yes, a lot of that was on Gunther trying to put, what's his name, LaMarcus Joyner as like a corner when he could have been a real solid free safety. And bro, freaking Cleveland Ferrell, his first year, had snaps at outside linebacker. Like, we need to chill out with all that stuff, bro. Like, we need to bring in our players and we need to do what they're good at. Like, absolutely. That's where you're going to get their most production at the end of the day.
But to that point, what he was saying, Moehrig This dude can play anywhere.
Anywhere.
That's why I would feel comfortable him coming up to play in that nickel or slot or whatever we need him to, because that he was, like we were talking about, he played a lot at TCU. Like, man, when I was watching the film, I'm like, dude, is this dude ever going to go play single high, or is he just going to be laying up on every single damn receiver that's playing in the slot, or just anybody? Yep. So I do agree with some of what you're saying, some part. It's just that I feel like Gillespie at free safety after the film and everything, I'm like, man, he got some things he got to brush up on, and how he bails out sometimes, like when he's at single high, it kind of makes me worried. Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't want something to happen. It's like, yeah, we got to keep Moehrig at free safety now, right? But let's see what happens. And that's why I'm so glad we have preseason. Like, this is it just makes the season like, yo, this is lit, because now we have so much depth, and we can just sit here and be like, yo, we finna go live the preseason. Like, preseason, my eyes are glued to the TV because I'm watching every single damn player we got, like every single one.
Can't wait to break down that preseason. Oh,
absolutely,
goodness,
like,
man.
dude, and it's gonna be great, because if we cut a player we like, we seen in preseason, it's gonna be like, oh my goodness, you know. But if we keep guys, it's gonna be like, we finna be lit this season. So this preseason games mean a lot.
Well, it's kind of a little bit off topic, but we kind of just brought up preseason real quick. It's kind of a wild question, but what if Kuntz gets a ton of? Well, he should get a lot of reps in preseason, right?
Yep.
What if this man in 3 games has like 4 or 5 sacks? Like, what do we start thinking about then? Like, in 3-4 games, what do we really start thinking about then? Like, does Cleveland Ferrell actually start to get, you know, like, does his job actually now start getting put up to question if this man Kuntz comes out and has 3, 4, 5 sacks in 3 games in preseason? Like, that could be wild. Like, and what if Divine Diablo really comes in and plays Will linebacker and this dude starts dominating? Like, do we want to wait a year for Nicholas Moore to leave and then put Diablo out there? Or if Diablo is really that dude in preseason, do we want to see him week 1 really 50-50 with Morrow? Like, it'll be tough. Like, and that's why, like, we're getting real close to seeing our freaking team do some things, man, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. That's actually a real good question. In my opinion, the best player that plays in the preseason shouldn't necessarily start, because you have to look at the competition, right? If Kuntz is doing it against starters, that's one thing, but if he's doing it against backup talent, that just means we have a potential football player that could be a real good player in the future, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Raid?
That's almost like reminds me of, I believe his name was Chris Warren,
the running back.
Yeah,
yep.
He was balling out preseason. I remember the whole nation was like, we need to get this guy on the roster.
Bro, didn't even make the 53.
We didn't see that man play a snap. Like, so, I mean, preseason is important. But as far as that, I'm not going to do too much and say, like, they'll start over anybody. It does show potential, and it does show that we have quality depth. That's all it'll show. You know what I mean? It'll show that we have quality depth for real. And it will, like to Andy's point, it will show that, okay, those starting players, or who thinks they're starting, they're gonna legit now be like, oh snap, someone's on my tail. Someone's like trying to take my spot. And you need that competition in every single room we have. D-line, DB, linebacker, you know, quarterback. So you need that. You need that competition, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just get through these super chats because they're going to start disappearing here in a second. So just real quick, Cool Zay, thank you for the super chat. You see you have a strong feeling the Raiders are going to push for the AFC West title. I don't disagree with that, man. We should be pushing for that title. And you said, Sanjit, keep doing your thing. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate the super chat. I know you left a couple super chats on the video that me and my brother went. It wasn't live. We recorded it and then we premiered it. So thank you for the super chats. The Raiders said, tape don't lie, said Moehrig and Gillespie played a lot of 3 deep safety looks in college. Tampa played a lot of 3 deep safety against Mahomes, which gave him problems. You think using 3 deep safeties is the plan? I do think using
what do you mean by 3 deep safeties?
I think what he means is like cover 3, having a free safety deep. I think that's what he means. Gillespie did play free safety a ton, and I'm going to assume that that's what you mean. I don't really know what 3 deep safety would what else it could possibly mean.
I think what I think he's talking about is similar to Gus Bradley. If you actually go watch the Gus Bradley film, me personally, I just wanted to watch how he does against division opponents, right? I didn't go watch random teams, division opponents. So if you go watch against Kansas City, you'll see. I think this is what he's talking about. He means like 3 free safeties on the field, like 3 safeties that could be like 3 free safeties on the field. Because when you watch, like I said, Gus Bradley, his defense, a lot of the time when he was playing Mahomes since the beginning of the game, since the start of the game on defense, obviously, he had a safety instead of an extra linebacker. Like he had 4 linemen. He had Kenneth Murray Jr., Kazir White, and then he had Rayshawn Jenkins.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then he had Chris Harris Jr. in the slot.
Okay.
So that might be what he means. And yeah, for sure. I for sure think we'll be able to see that. And I think that's a perfect point to what Sanjit was saying earlier is Gillespie can be at the single high and Moehrig comes down in the slot, but it's really just another safety coming down to play and help coverage, because Kansas City, they airing it out.
Yep.
So
you got to cover. You got to play coverage.
Formations. Gus still had Rayshawn Jenkins out there.
You got to cover, man. If you're gonna beat the Chiefs, you got to cover. Thank you for the super chat, man. Gil M became a member. Huge shout out to you, man. I really, really appreciate you becoming a member. Dexter beats up the $5 super chat. Abrams isn't bad in coverage. He just gets caught up trying to do others' jobs because he doesn't trust him. In college, he was sideline to sideline. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Mike said, I'm hoping Solomon will be able to turn the corner like Waller did. Losing his sister to suicide definitely shook him. I believe a change will help. Yeah, man, the whole situation with his sister, that was unfortunate. And I know that could definitely impact a player. I haven't lost a sister. I've never went through something like that. So I can't tell you from that perspective. But I really hope he does get it turned around, man. He was such a highly drafted player. He had so much potential. Everybody wants him to be a great football player, right? Because obviously, as you guys all know, that'll benefit the Raiders and it'll benefit himself as well. And I want to know what you guys think about this. If Solomon Thomas does turn it around, it's going to be this year, right? Going to that second team is when players turn it around. And if he doesn't turn it around at this point, I don't know if he ever will turn it around. What do you guys think about that?
Well, to that, I had talked about it in my video. You got to think, we signed this guy, we assuming where he's going to have high potential, right? All the fans, he has high potential. He's only on a 1-year deal. And if a D tackle balls out, you're going to have to pay him some double digits, depending on how well he does. But you know what I mean? And I just made that point, wanted to make that point. Like, how well is he going to do? Like, nation, like the nation thinks he's going to do really great. How well will he do? And then how much are we going to have to pay him just to bring him back? Because think about Nelson Aguilar just got buku bucks for what? For Carr's efforts? Like, come on now. The dude was still dropping passes. Didn't even have 1,000 yards, I believe.
He didn't.
He didn't even have 900.
Like, come on, dude. The dude's and we got Yannick Ngakoue for that kind of money, which I'm glad. That was a great trade-off if you want to look at it that way. So I don't know. If he does great, I'm gonna be happy. But man, I wonder how much he's gonna want and how that's gonna work out. And you got to think that's all our D tackles. We don't have any D tackles on more than 1-year contracts, so we got to see how all this works out.
Well, these guys got to prove it, man. They got to prove it. Go ahead, Andy.
It's kind of weird how a lot of people were trying to compare Solomon Thomas to be kind of like that Nelson Aguilar before the defensive tackles. I mean, I just don't see it because at least when Nelson Aguilar came to this team, Nelson Aguilar produced something with the Eagles at least. Yep. He still put up numbers with the Eagles at least.
Yep.
Solomon Thomas isn't coming here with more than three sacks in 1 year.
Yep.
Like that, there's a big difference there, right? They used him, yes, in Philly they used Aguilar as like a slot, and there was that. And defensive tackle, they were using him as a DN in San Francisco. But bro, one produced before coming to this team and had some off years. But this man came into the league and only had an off year. So it's like, bro, like, can I see it happen? I hope so, because a lot of people were trying to say that, what's his name, Gerald McCoy or something like that, did bad in his first 3 years and then turned it up. But I just don't see it.
That's one of few. There's always an exception. There's always going to be
one exception. That's the exception. That's not the rule.
There's always going to be an exception, right? But I want to bring up a good point. I read in the comments, Watts Raider. He said just because he's a first-round pick.
Yeah.
If Solomon Thomas was drafted in the 4th round, in the 3rd round,
nobody would
be talking about him right now.
Absolutely.
He would not even be we probably wouldn't even sign him, honestly. But think about it. If he wasn't the first round, third overall, that's a great point. That's a great point.
If I'm being honest, I would rather see Darius Stills get all his reps in the preseason than Solomon Thomas, bro. I'm being so real. I want Darius Stills to make this roster. I feel like he can make this roster. I mean, bro, this defensive tackle room, this 3 technique room is ridiculous. Like,
hopefully it pans out. Hopefully it pans out.
Hopefully it does pan out.
You know, so it's interesting because Solomon Thomas has played with DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa. He was like the third guy, and if he couldn't make it work at that point, you know, I don't know what we're going to kind of get at.
How do you still struggle to develop pass rushing moves when you have all these real pass rushers near you?
Some of the best, right? DeForest Buckner is probably the second or third best defensive tackle, best pass rushing defensive tackle. Nick Bosa is one of the best. Danny Garcia, thank you, man, for becoming a member. Huge shout out to you. Johnny Perez, thank you for the super chat. You said Moehrig is a free safety, has to play free safety. He needs to play the position he was drafted to play. Let him become the Gus Bradley deep safety. Kind of tired of changing guys' positions. Let them play their position. Here's the one argument I would make against that, right? Moehrig played a ton of different positions in college. He didn't just play free safety. He played strong safety. He played inside the box. He played on the line of scrimmage. He did everything in college, right? And I would argue that Moehrig would have a bigger impact playing strong safety or slot corner than he would as a free safety, because as a free safety, he's going to be just playing deep, right? He's going to be playing
out of the play.
He'll be out of the play 90% of the time, right? As opposed to if he's playing that slot position, he's controlling half the field. Right, he's that outside contain. Like, he can come up there and he can hit somebody. And you know, I do think ultimately Moehrig will be the free safety. Right, I don't disagree with that necessarily. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we should just let him play free safety, or should we see what best fits him?
I would let him really just go back and forth between slot and free safety, really, so that he could make that impact. But I wouldn't want him to just play, you know, just one or just the other. I would want him to, if he could, 60% at one, 40% at the other one, or 50-50, right? Because now we have the depth for him to be able to rotate, right? Because that's just what it is now. Like, we have good depth.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, I agree with some of that. I think it would depend. Who would you guys want to see at single high if it weren't Moehrig? I think that's the only question I would wonder. Who would you put at free safety if it weren't Moehrig?
So I think you can either do Carl Joseph if Tyree Gillespie isn't ready, but we traded up to get Gillespie. Mm-hmm. And a 4th round pick should be a starter, right? I mean, he might not necessarily be a superstar or an all-pro football player, but he should be a starter. He should have an impact, right? And we don't, free safety, if you have a good free safety, great. That doesn't mean your free safety has to make a play on every single play, right? Like, Malik Hooker didn't make a play on every single snap, but Malik Hooker was a good football player. If that's what Gillespie could do, great, man. That's all we need from him. We don't need him to have 15 interceptions, or even Carl Joseph, right? If Carl Joseph could play that position, great. But it's going to just really depend on are we good against the pass, because we're committing to stopping the run. We're going to have a hard time stopping the pass if our free safety is not a good football player.
I mean, yeah. If let's say we didn't get Moehrig and we did still trade up to get Gillespie, we would all be saying that Gillespie could be our starting free safety right now.
That is true. That is 100. We would
have no other free safety,
Absolutely. We
literally have no other free safety besides that, or Carl Joseph. But
that's what I'm saying. So it's like
that's my point too. Like,
yeah,
absolutely, man. Before we move forward, there's about 350 people here. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate that. If you guys could do that, and go subscribe to both Raid the Tape as well as Raiders Football Talk, which is Andy. I appreciate both you guys being here, man. I really do appreciate it. I actually want to just go through this super chat real quick. Paul, thank you for the super chat. We're going to get into offensive linemen in just a second. But you said I am worried about 1 or 2 injuries and what could happen if a player gets hurt. It could hurt us big time. We're going to talk about the O-line in just a second. But right now, we're going to talk about Derek Carr, man, and we're not going to hold back. I'm going to ask you guys some questions about Derek Carr because I think this is very important. I need your guys' thoughts, and I need the answer right now. Is Derek Carr the Raiders' long-term quarterback? Is he the guy for the Raiders?
Yes.
What do you think, Raid? Yes.
Yeah.
So,
If you want my whole explanation, you just
okay. No. We're gonna get the
Yeah.
explanation. So should we lock him up for the next 10 years? Should that be maybe not 10, but for the next 5 years? Should we give him a 5-year extension?
We just need to sign him until he's done playing football. That's it. He just needs to be our quarterback.
I would do another 5 years. I would do another 5. I would do another 5 years with Derek Carr, unless we really saw some top guys get another. Like, bro, here's the thing though. We were all super hyped on Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, of course, is a better quarterback than Derek Carr, but Deshaun Watson also had a better defense than Derek Carr, and he had less wins. So we have to really think about it. A lot of this production, you have to think about it. Derek Carr put us in a position to win 11 games with the worst defense in franchise history. I mean, or maybe not. He put us in a position to win 10 because the second Chargers game, that was Mariota. But, I mean, still, that is very, very, very hard to do. Like, that is very hard to do. And for him to be, leading every, good category there is for a quarterback in this history of this franchise, I feel like, hell yeah, let's lock him up for another 5 years. I'll do it right now. We see players peak at 35, bro. Like, we've seen Brady win back-to-back Super Bowls at, fucking what, 37, 36, whatever it was. Like, bro, I would do it. I would do it right now. On top of the fact it saves us damn near $20 million. I'd do it. I would have done it yesterday. Like, I would do it.
Carr's the top 7-8 quarterback, easy. Like, in my book, like, you can't, like, the thing is, once you get outside of Mahomes, Rodgers, Jackson, Josh Allen, and Russell Wilson, once you get outside of those guys, it's like, Raider Nation, would you want to trade Carr for a Tannehill? Like, think about, like, this is who people try to put Carr in like tiers with.
Yeah,
nobody in Raider Nation is like, yeah, I want Tannehill instead of Carr. I want Kirk Cousins instead of Carr. Like, get out of here. Like, it's a joke. Like, it's almost a joke. Carr is that dude. He's proven it. He's had a terrible dude. I've been a Raider fan my whole life. Like, a lot, like everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
We made the playoffs with Carr. Before that, it was a joke.
Absolutely.
Before that, it was a joke. And the only reason we didn't see him is because he got hurt.
Yep.
But everybody wants to make excuses for these free agents coming in or like, like, come on, bro. Come on. You can't do that. Derek Carr, 7-8, top quarterback. Lock it in.
And then what? The last 3 seasons, he put us in a position to yet again go to the playoffs. But our defense, not our quarterback, our defense couldn't get us there, right? This year, we could have won 11 games, but our defense fucked us up. The year before that, we were 8-8, still in the position to make the playoffs. And guess who put us there? Derek Carr, not this defense. It was Derek Carr, right? I mean, I know that I'm comfortable if the game's on the line and then the ball's in Derek Carr's hands, right? I'm looking at everywhere we got this, bro, because that's what Derek Carr does. That's his game. Like, he is that dude, bro. Lock him up for another 5 years.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're right, right? When it comes to being clutch, Derek Carr is the guy. I would not have anybody in the NFL. Maybe Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's probably the greatest quarterback ever. Outside of that, Derek Carr is the guy. Like, I would take him when it comes to being clutch. Here's the thing, right? You don't win Super Bowls by being clutch, right? Being clutch is only a small part of the game, right? There's so many different variances to the game of football. And here's what the scouts say, right? I want to just tell you guys my thoughts. I want to tell you guys about what I've been told recently, and this has really had me questioning Derek Carr. So I've been talking and interacting with scouts over the last week and a half. I've started doing some scouting courses, which has allowed me to ask questions and stuff like that. And Derek Carr got brought up. He was one of the topics. And I pushed back, right? I had to defend my guy, Derek Carr. Basically, the topic that was brought up was Derek Carr is not that good of a quarterback. And the reason why is because of the fact that when he's pressured, he doesn't play the same way, right? If he's kept clean, he's a great quarterback. But keeping a quarterback clean isn't always what's going to happen realistically, right? And the scout made the point that the Raiders have the highest paid offensive line for a reason. They have to do that. Without having that, Derek Carr is going to panic. He's going to get pressured. And I questioned that. Like, is that really true? And the scout made the point. He said, you go and watch the Patriots game, you watch the Buccaneers game, and the difference in those games was when those two teams started pressuring Derek Carr. When they started getting after Derek Carr, and the Falcons did the same thing, when they started pressuring Derek Carr, the game ended because Derek Carr would panic and he would choke. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that. Do you guys think that this scout has any truth to that, or is he just talking out of his ass? Do you guys think Derek Carr is not as good when he's pressured? What's your guys' thoughts? And I've checked the statistics, and I'll tell you guys those in a second.
I'd have to go look for myself. Honestly, I'd have to really go look for myself. But shit, I know when it came to the Jets game and they blitzed all out, he threw that thing up and he stood in the pocket. So I'd have to go really look at it game for game, play by play, and see what they were exactly doing. But I don't know. Even to that point, I'm not hearing it. I'm just not hearing it.
Not only that, bro. Like you can say that maybe he gets a little antsy when he gets pressured or whatever, but you mentioned it yourself. You said that clutch doesn't win you Super Bowls. Defense does, right? That's defense wins you Super Bowls. Tom Brady should have never been in the Super Bowl. He threw 3 interceptions the week before and still got in. That wasn't because Tom Brady had the best game of his life. He probably had one of his worst games of his career and still made it to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, bro, it's kind of to me, it kind of annoys me that each year Derek Carr is like fucking has a firecracker on his ass talking about he's about to leave. But bro, it's kind of ridiculous, bro. Like I think that Derek Carr, maybe if you want to say that sometimes if he gets extra pressure, maybe he gets antsy. But I think that's with every quarterback. I don't think that no quarterback in this league is gonna look at a 300-pound lineman and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna just throw this ball and take his. I'm gonna just get sacked." I don't want that shit, and I don't want that for Derek Carr. So it's like, yeah, you could bring up statistics, bro, and at the same time, Aaron Rodgers. We people were saying that we could get Aaron Rodgers. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade again to Derek Carr, but you have to look at it. Aaron Rodgers has never played with the worst defenses in his franchise. He's consistently had a defense over 20th ranked. Bro, it's a lot about your defense at the end of the day. Like, yes, sometimes when Derek Carr throws that ball away, it's fucking annoying. We get it. Like, we hate that shit. But at the end of the day, if we had a defense that could back him up for one drive, that play wouldn't look as bad because we would have got the ball right back and he would have drove down and at least got a field goal, right? I think that Derek Carr, I don't understand where people try and get this narrative that he's not a good quarterback. I just don't see any other one of these top quarterbacks in this league do what he does with his trash-ass defense that he has to consistently play with. I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, both of you guys make great points. So some people are saying Derek Carr is the #1 quarterback in the NFL under pressure, and that's just simply not true. Last year, under pressure, he had 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He was ranked, I think, as the 23rd quarterback out of 39 quarterbacks who had played 20% of the snaps while under pressure. So his statistics under pressure, he was much worse. When he wasn't pressured, he was the 4th best quarterback, at least according to Pro Football Focus, which I'm not a huge believer in Pro Football Focus, but these are just their numbers. At least it's a baseline of what we can kind of expect.
Now, was that spread across games?
What do you mean?
It was 5 TDs, 5 interceptions
in total.
So was that? So did he throw like interception? Like was it clumped up in a bad game? Like what I'm trying to say was was a lot of it clumped up in a bad game, or was it spread out over the season?
That's a good point. I did not look into that.
Because what? Oh, at least over 50% of that stat has to be the Falcons game, in my opinion. I mean, we had Mahomes running for his life. That dude actually was really ass when Cleveland Ferrell and Max Crosby were really on his ass every play, bro. Like, he was trying to throw those weird sidearm balls, and they just weren't getting there. That's just because no quarterback is good, like, naturally under pressure like that. It's really hard to do that. I just wouldn't understand where Derek Carr just like Ray the Tape said, this man literally just game was on the line, 8 players running at him. Fuck it. He believed in his heart that Jalen Richard was going to pick up that block for him and that he wasn't going to get drilled, and he launched it up.
No, but
Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
You gotta watch the F-bomb, man. You're gonna get us taken down, man.
Obviously
You're gonna get us taken down, man.
obviously
damn,
they picked it up. They picked the blitz up on that play, which was great by the team. Great pass by Derek. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any upgrade over Derek Carr right now. Now, I don't think Derek Carr is, the best quarterback out there. I don't think he's as bad as it could get, right? It could be much worse. My whole entire Raiders career, as long as I've been watching the Raiders, our quarterback has been trash, man. It's been absolute trash. I can't even tell you how many bad quarterbacks we've had. But Derek's definitely been probably the best Raider quarterback over the course of my life as I've been watching the Raiders.
In franchise history, man, just say it. He's the best Raiders quarterback ever. Just say it, man. It just is what it is, man.
He is. But here's the thing. He has to win. He has to get in the playoffs. He has to show up. And a lot of that's not his fault. I understand the defense has to be better. It's hard to win without a consistent defense. Big Ben has one of the best defenses before Bud Dupree got hurt last year, and they were undefeated. And then out of nowhere, they lost like 70% of their games the second that one player went down. That's because the defense was not as good. Right. And I would say right now, Derek Carr's better than Big Ben is. Right. I think Big Ben has taken a huge step back. That's just my personal opinion.
Agreed.
I want to get into the super chats really quickly. And then we're going to talk about the Raiders offensive line because I think it's going to be very interesting this year.
I just want to make one thing. I know Wi-Fi Willie, if you haven't heard of him, Wi-Fi Willie did a video on Derek Carr, and it was based on it was something like the quarterback that is the safest. And not safest in terms of you just checking it down. Safest as in you're not turning the ball over. So
that's a big part of winning, man. The turnover battles.
It's just an interesting stat. When you say under pressure, when you say this, that, and the third, he throws the ball away. So is that contributing to it? And were some of those interceptions potentially tipped balls, anything like that? So you just have to look into it. Was it just 2 games? Yeah, 2 bad games, So I would just look a little deeper into that. But whoever that scout is, man, Derek Carr's that dude. So get out of here.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I'll look into those statistics a little bit deeper. Maybe this week.
I am too, man. After you said that, man, I'm
absolutely.
Derek Carr video, man.
So here's the thing, right? If people don't, I know us Raider fans, we're a little biased, right? We all are a little biased for the Raiders. But the scouting community's opinion of Derek Carr is different than what like Colin Cowherd thinks, right? Colin Cowherd loves Derek Carr, but the scouting community is different on Derek Carr. I know John Gruden loves Derek Carr. He's kept him around this long. But there is, one of the things that they say is he does fold under pressure. And I have seen it for myself. I actually went and watched specifically the Cleveland game. There was a play where Colton Miller allowed Myles Garrett pressured Colton Miller, or he beat Colton Miller. He touched Derek Carr, like he tried swatting the ball. Derek Carr panicked from that second, and he looked and locked onto Nelson Aguilar. He tried throwing it, and Ronnie Harrison Jr. should have picked the ball off and ran it back for a touchdown.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he dropped it. He dropped it. And those are the type of plays that people say Derek Carr often has, right? When he's pressured, he isn't the same guy. And again, the Raiders invested in that offensive line in terms of cap. We're the second highest paid offensive line. And the argument is Derek Carr needs to be protected. Otherwise, he's not anywhere near the type of player he could be if he's under pressure. But yeah, definitely look into him being pressured and not being pressured. Dick Vitale, thank you for the super chat. You said Carr was 103.7 quarterback rating under pressure. Send me those stats, man. I'd love to look at those because that's not what I saw. Jackie the Raiderette left a $2 super chat saying showing love. Huge shout out to you. I really, really appreciate the super chat. Dara Raider, $5 super chat, and I hope that's how you say your name. Mariota is our new car insurance. Carr should have a 5-year extension. Here's the thing, right? Competition brings the best out of anybody. They say Derek Carr had a great year last year. That could be because Mariota was right behind him. And, I'd say like a fifth of the fan base was pushing for Mariota, and maybe a fifth is pushing it. Maybe it was a 10th of the fan base. People were pushing for Marcus Mariota. I was one of those guys, right? And that's nothing against Derek Carr. I want to see more from Derek Carr. And I feel that Marcus Mariota could have given us more. I like the fact that Mariota makes plays with his legs. For me, when I look at a quarterback, obviously accuracy, ball placement, that kind of stuff obviously has to be good. But I put extending plays above anything else, right? Because I look at Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen try to throw it 10 yards and they way overthrow their guys. But at the same time, on 3rd and 8, I see them make those plays, right? Maybe they run to the left, maybe they run to the left or to the right, and they make those plays, right? So preseason is going to be interesting this year, man. Like, could you guys imagine if Marcus Mariota, I know it'll be against the backups, right? But like Marcus Mariota goes like 9 for 10, 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. Could you guys imagine what's going to happen? I don't think John Gruden would allow it to get there. I think John Gruden would pull him sooner than that. But man, could you guys just imagine what would happen?
I feel like
everybody be like, "Oh, Mariota needs to do this. Mariota needs to do that," because he's out there running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and it looks cool and all that. But to that point, man, I'm like tired of this extending the play thing to me personally, because we just seen Tom Brady win another championship and we're still talking about this. Like, dude, he just proved the theory wrong. If this theory was like golden, the Ravens would have a Super Bowl by now.
Let me clarify.
No,
let me clarify what extending a play in my opinion means, right? It could be 3rd and 6. You get pressured. You don't panic, right? Maybe a guy gets a hand on you. You take 6 steps to the right or 4 steps to the right, and you make that throw, right? In Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen's case, it might be they take off running. In Tom Brady's case, he's going to take 4 steps to the right once he's pressured. Be comfortable and not panic, and he'll complete the pass, right? That's extending a play. So it's not necessarily running with the football. It's just getting those extra 2 seconds. Take those steps. Don't panic. Because, again, I referenced that drop pick by Ronnie Harrison Jr. against the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett pressures Derek Carr. He panics, and he throws it to Nelson Aguilar like super quickly, and it should have been a pick 6, and the safety drops. It literally hits him right in the hands.
But also, we have to remember, he did extend a good amount of times this year. That same time, that in the same way, you look at the Dolphins game. He extended that play to throw the ball up to Nelson Aguilar for Nelson Aguilar to get a 70-yard touchdown pass.
Yep.
Also against the Patriots game, when he was getting pressured, and I think it was before halftime, he threw it up to Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow came down with it. You know, I do like that each year Carr is extending his plays a bit more, and that's why I would extend him, right? That's why, because I feel like he could bring a lot to our franchise if we keep him here, right? Like, I wouldn't want DC going to the Bears or going to the Colts, because then everybody would love DC, right? Everybody would love this man then. And then we're stuck with Mariota, and we're just stuck on the fact, well, oh, he just did an RPO, held it, and ran it for 6, right? Then we would be like, okay, but we have this. But I really just think Derek Carr, he's our guy, right? I like him a lot.
As far as that extended plays, I understand what Sanjit, I understand what you're saying for sure. And I think with that, according to Derek Carr, is that he's showing growth in that department.
Yep.
Like, he consistently is showing that he is willing and able to extend a play. And I feel like these past 2 years, he's proven that he is willing to extend the play. And that shows that doesn't only show how talented he is, but at the same time how he can adapt. No quarterback can just all of a sudden Gruden comes in and you're just going to take everything. Like, everything that comes is just going to be like it doesn't happen, right? Like, every year he's getting traded. Like, all these injuries he's gone through, the mental agility he has is uncanny. Like, you can't even, like, come on, you see what I'm saying? Like, other players get hurt and they don't even come back the same.
I have a question for both of you guys. But real quick, Mike said Marcus Mariota could get us more rushing touchdowns, but he could also get us way more turnovers due to interceptions. I definitely agree with you, man. That's a good point. Like, Mariota might get 4 or 5 more rushing touchdowns than Carr, but he might also have 4 or 5 more interceptions. So that's a good point. But I do want to ask both of you guys, right? When it comes to Derek Carr, is he a better quarterback than John Gruden is an offensive coordinator? Like, which one's the better guy? Is it Derek Carr's the better quarterback?
Derek Carr's the better quarterback. Derek Carr is the better quarterback.
What do you think, Andy?
I would have to agree with that statement, because we've seen him do it in a completely opposite system with Jack Del Rio. Spread the ball out, West Coast. This dude 400 yards against Tampa Bay, and we go to the playoffs that year, right? He's done it in a different system, and then he's doing it in this system, right? And this system is known to be from all the greats and stuff like that are now retired that didn't played under Gruden, and all the quarterbacks that didn't played under Gruden. They respect Derek Carr a ton because they know how hard it is to be in this system, right? And the fact that I like the most that we won't, and this is very underrated when it comes to Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr, is that if we were to start Marcus Mariota, he wouldn't be able to check and change the play at the line of scrimmage like Derek Carr does. Like if we went out there with Marcus Mariota doesn't have 4 years in this system. Yep. He has a couple of weeks because he was hurt and like actually playing in the system. Derek Carr he has the confidence to run this system right now. I'm not sure how the game goes once they're in the red zone because we see production dip like crazy, and that's not just on Derek Carr, it's on the whole offense, right? But I really do think that Derek Carr is the better quarterback than John Gruden is, like some sort of mastermind genius, right?
So I want to ask you real quick, and Andy, I want to just follow up on that. So you're saying that Derek Carr, had that one great year. We went to the playoffs. He had 400 plus yards against Tampa. I think he might have had 500 plus yards. Honestly, don't quote me on that though. But what you're not saying is John Gruden has won a Super Bowl without Derek Carr, right? You're not saying that. So at the same time, even though Derek Carr has had success without John Gruden has won the ultimate success, which is a Super Bowl without Derek Carr, right? So I definitely hear what both of you guys are saying. And
into that, what was that defensive rank? When Gruden won, what was the defensive rank and what was the offensive rank the most in the NFL?
I don't know the exact numbers on that. If you know,
just right now, if I have to ask you,
I have no idea. I know the defense was a great defense.
Higher than the offense?
Say that again.
I would say off the top of your head, if I had to ask you that Buccaneers champion team, would you say that the defense was ranked higher than the offense?
The defense was ranked higher than the offense, yes.
So yeah. I think if Gruden did the same, if Gruden were to get a team where they had a top 15 defense and had Carr, I feel like the chances wouldn't be that slim. I think that kind of brings a full circle almost to what we've been saying is, look, Gruden did win a championship. Now I have to go look, what was that defensive rank when he won that championship? And what was that offense rank? Now I have to go check. Because if he's able to get that defensive rank up, right, I have no doubt in my mind that our offense will – I don't care who the coach is. I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback no matter what because everybody will say how Derek Carr is so bad, but every other quarterback would get an excuse for having a different coach, a different offensive coordinator. Like the dude goes 12-4, then his offensive coordinator gets fired.
Which was the stupidest decision ever, man.
Come on, like everything that could go wrong towards Derek Carr, it seems like it does. Every rumor that could possibly be talked about him, and he just performs. He goes out there and goes 3 for 1, and everybody's mad. If you can tell me I can get a quarterback right now that can go 3 touchdowns a game and throw 1 pick, I would probably take that almost every single game. Like, there's no way around it.
Two things also. That whole Gruden Super Bowl thing, people were saying that was an inherited team for Gruden when he did win that Super Bowl. But another thing is that right now, people are already labeling Justin Herbert as this next to be, right? And yep. Derek Carr is labeled as a loser because all he does is lose, right? Yep. Apparently, that's what he's labeled as. Justin Herbert had a losing record, but yet he is the next best thing at the same time. What we're forgetting about is that he had a lot of success, and his whole new coaching staff is different also. So what do we say then? If Justin Herbert has a bad year, are we just going to criticize him on his one good year? Because I already know that's what the media is going to say. But Justin Herbert did good his rookie season. So if he gets this and this now, he'll be fine. But people don't look at that when it comes to Derek Carr. Like it's really annoying. But
well, I hear you, man. I definitely hear you because you make valid points, right? But I will say this too, right? Justin Herbert in year 7 going into year 8, that's if he doesn't have success at that point, we would kind of see, right? If he has a bad second year, most rookies have a bad second year, right? Going into his 3rd year, after that, we can probably judge what type of quarterback he'll be. Right now, based off of what you guys have seen in Justin Herbert in his first year, would you take Justin Herbert right now over Derek Carr, considering the fact that Justin Herbert's contract is like $5-6 million? Derek Carr is making $20 million over the next 2 years in each of the 2 years. And then after that, he's going to want $35 million, right? Would you guys take Herbert? You have him for 4 cheap years over Derek Carr right now.
No. I would first say no. I'm keeping Derek Carr.
Okay.
So when I named those other quarterbacks, those were basically the quarterbacks that I'll only swap Carr out for.
Okay. What about you, Randy?
I'm not swapping them out for Herbert. I'm not swapping them out for Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. I seen a list where Trevor Lawrence was better than Derek Carr. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Dude hasn't even played the NFL yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. So I feel like right now, I wouldn't take Herbert over Derek Carr because, like you said, they can have a really bad second year. Not only that, if you look at what Herbert has had, a number 1 receiver, a good number 2 receiver, top 8 tight end he had last year with Hunter Henry. I know he was hurt every now and again.
Good point. Also
had in his first year a better defense than Derek Carr had this year. So whether it was by 1 rank or 2 ranks, he's already, been with a system that has put him with more. Derek Carr in his career has had Amari Cooper as his number 1 receiver, and that was his most reliable besides Michael Crabtree.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Justin Herbert has had a number 1 receiver in Keenan Allen. Now, Keenan Allen's a proven number 1 receiver. Amari Cooper, he was as well, but if we're being honest, if we were to ask who we would rather take right now, I would rather take Keenan Allen. But Derek Carr has had a lot less than just a defense, right? I mean, he won 12 games with Seth Roberts is a slot. We can say that Hunter Renfrow is a better slot than Seth Roberts. I would say that right now. You can say that the offensive line that we have right now could be, just maybe a couple notches under than what he played with in 2008. And for people to say the scout that you were saying that he needs that highest paid offensive line to feel secure is also kind of crazy for them to say, because if they really looked at it, how many times did they play as a unit? 2 snaps, 1 snap, 3 snaps? They didn't play much together. And Derek Carr still put us in a position to win double-digit games with the worst defense that he's ever had.
That's a good point, man. That's a real good
And just
point.
to add to it, just real quick, because I see the comments, we're not hating on Herbert. I'm not hating. If you watch our lives, we know we have to face Justin Herbert. We have to face Mahomes.
Herbert is that man.
That's why it's one of the reasons our division is one of the best. We got up-and-coming Herbert. And the thing is, for me, but the same thing is for me is that I like guys that's shown consistent production, not a guy that just did it 1 year. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Herbert is overrated. I'm not saying that he's bad, but I'm saying I like consistency. Carr has been consistent. And as a Raider fan, he's proven it with terrible defenses. I believe the Chargers defense was still better than ours.
That's what I just said.
They had unsurmountable injuries to their best players on defense. Herbert didn't have to. Did Herbert win more games? He beat Mariota. He didn't beat Carr. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So to that, I'm keeping Carr. I'm keeping a consistent, what I know, quarterback that's produced in the National Football League. Herbert's done it 1 year. Okay, I get it. He had 1 great year. I'm not saying he's going to fall off next year, but I like proven production. Derek Carr is a pro. I don't know what people don't understand.
So, yeah, man, both of you guys make solid points. I wouldn't agree with all of it, but I don't disagree with all of it either. I think both of you guys make solid points. If you guys ask me, would I take Derek Carr over Justin Herbert? It's real tough. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I watch film. I watch every
on Odyssey right now.
I watch Justin Herbert, man. The throws he makes are impressive. At the same time, in his first year in 14 games, he already threw for 4,300 yards. What's he going to do in 17 games, right? He's going to throw over 5,000 yards, right? Or he would have if he started the whole entire season last year. But here's the thing, right? I do think the thing with Justin Herbert is he is on a rookie deal, and I think that does have a benefit for a team, a good rostered team, right? For example, the Niners have one of the best football rosters in the whole entire NFL. They have to pay those players to keep that roster together. paying Jimmy Garoppolo $30 million is not going to allow you to keep those players together. So what they did is they got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and they invested in a rookie for the next 5 years because that's going to allow them to keep the roster together. I think that's a very important part, right? So if the Raiders traded Derek Carr and brought in Justin Herbert for, like a cheaper contract, we don't need money, right? It's kind of what I'm trying to say. The Raiders don't need money. We don't need cap because our roster really isn't that good, right? So Derek Carr, $20 million, it's not like that's killing us right now because a lot of our guys, we don't even know if we're going to bring them back. It's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens with Derek. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Justin Herbert because I don't believe that Derek Carr is a lock to be the Raiders' long-term quarterback. I don't see that right now. I think he needs to prove more still, and that's just me being honest, right? At the end of the day, I love Derek Carr. I've rooted for him for a number of years, and I'm going to continue rooting for him, and I want him to have success. But at the end of the day, I'm a Raider fan first. Like, if John Gruden's the issue, then get rid of his ass. If Derek Carr's the issue, then get rid of his ass. And I'm not saying either of those guys are the issues. I'm just saying I want to win a championship, and I want to build long-term success, right? I don't want to have 1 or 2 good years and then fall off like the Falcons have, right? Or some of these other teams, right? But with that, I do want to
hold on. With that being said, I don't think you answered when you asked us, would you keep Gruden or would you keep Carr?
So are you saying would I keep one over the
or what?
other?
I can't remember exactly how you.
Okay,
I can't remember. You know what
Herbert,
I'm saying?
Herbert or Carr?
Those are 2 different questions, man.
Carr, whatever it is you asked, Carr or Gruden, whatever it was. Which
it was Herbert. It was Herbert or Gruden.
Okay, so
I'm talking about before. I'm talking about
no. So those are 2 different questions. So DG's asking, do I think that Derek Carr is the better quarterback, or do I think John Gruden is the better coach?
That's it.
Right. At the end of the day, I think they're both really good at what both they do. I think John Gruden's the better coach. I think John Gruden is the better, and I said offensive coach specifically. I don't know if he's a better head coach, but I do think when it comes to designing plays, I think John Gruden does a great job. At the end of the day, John Gruden has put Derek Carr in position to have the success that he's had, right? Like, Derek Carr doesn't just go out there and do whatever. I know people always say, well, Derek Carr had one great year outside of John Gruden in that 2016 year, but he's also had 3 or 4 bad years, right? Or not necessarily bad, but he's had 3 years of which we won, 3, 4, 5 games, right? Like, he's had those years. I don't know if Derek Carr is necessarily better quarterback than John Gruden is an offensive coach, right? John Gruden had the 10th best offense last year. And to be honest, like, our offense was not that good, like, from a playmaker perspective, right? Like, we had Darren Waller, and outside of that, I don't really know what we had on offense, which kind of sucks for Derek Carr as well, right? And I think the other question was, would I rather have Derek Carr or Justin Herbert, right? I think that's what you're trying to say, Andy? Was that what you're trying to say? That's a tough question, man. And just because I'm doubting it,
Gruden and Herbert playing together.
Hey, so would I rather have Gruden and Herbert or Gruden and Derek Carr? It's a tough question, man, because it's so hard. I would say I would probably take Justin Herbert over Derek Carr right now based off.
Do you think Justin Herbert would play the same way if Gruden was his coach, though?
I think he would. I think he fits.
Think he would.
I think so. Here's the thing: Justin Herbert has a great deep throw, right? And Derek Carr does not have a good.
And mind you, Justin Herbert, when he came out of the draft, he was my favorite quarterback. I thought his ball placement was the best. That's what I look for a quarterback, ball placement. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care about your mechanics. Look at Mahomes, look at Rodgers. Mechanics go right out the window. They overhype that stuff. Mechanics don't matter. To me, it's ball placement. Where do you put the ball at? You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Coming out of college, Herbert had that ball placement. And that's why I was mad when the Chargers got him. But I don't think he'd be the same player with Gruden.
Not only that, you mentioned that you think that Herbert could have like 5,000 yards next year or something close to that. Derek Carr put up 4,200 in a run-first system. Over there in LA, that is not a run-first system. Their running back is a pass-catching running back. Their running back is a screen, and I'm gonna take it 70 yards. That's just one play where Derek Carr drives down the whole field, and Justin Herbert, his running back, can get it done in one play. Now, that's what we are trying to get now with Kenyon Drake. So what if now DC can get that? Can get two 70-yard touchdowns in just one play with Kenyon Drake now, like 2 different systems, because we say that 2016 year was great from Derek Carr, but if you match him up this year in 2016, doesn't Derek Carr statistically isn't he better in every single category than what he did in 2016 besides wins? Because he had a better defense then. But
20th, ranked 20th, and he won 12 games.
Like,
he won 12 games with a 20th ranked defense. I want y'all to know that in the chat. That was his best defense ever, by the way. 20th.
Ever.
20th.
So I'm gonna say this, all right, and I wanna move forward because we have to talk about the offense line. Derek Carr has to prove it, right? You guys would agree, right? He has to prove himself. Like if he wins 5 games this year, we need to really start thinking about either Derek or Gruden, right? Either one.
If he wins 5 games, where does the defense rank this year?
Let's say the defense is 15th and we win 5 games, and let's say the offense takes a step back.
How does that happen?
It could happen, man.
Hold that thought, Sanjit. Because now we have to start doing some dramatic hypothetical situations to where our offense has to go backwards and then our defense has to go up to the 15th, right?
Yep.
Even if that were to happen, I don't think Gruden lets go of Carr. I think Gruden is going to hold on to Carr as long as he can, because if Gruden lets go of Carr and he gets a different quarterback and it doesn't work out, like what happened in Tampa, it's going to demolish his entire just everything. Gruden came back to Oakland, right?
Yep.
He came back to Oakland because he knew he had a quarterback. That's what I think. I think he was not going to go somewhere where he didn't have a quarterback because it's going to put his credibility on the line. Because now if we let go of Carr and he goes gets his guy, whoever that's going to be, right? And it doesn't work out, it's done for Gruden. Gruden's whole entire Gruden quarterback camp done. Who's gonna want to think about it? I don't see Gruden doing that. Gruden will put his entire respect, his entire what's the word I'm looking for?
His legacy,
his respect, his reputation. It only takes a moment to ruin a reputation, but it takes a lifetime to create it.
Mm-hmm.
And if he lets go of Carr and it doesn't work out, it's over for him.
So, but what if he sticks with Carr for the next 5 years? He doesn't, nothing happens, and then boom, he gets fired. There goes his legacy as well, right? Because his legacy is talked about. John Gruden hyped, man. He gets way too much hype, in my opinion. Obviously, he went from coaching, winning a ring, and then boom, he hit the media. And oftentimes, media guys get too much hype, in my opinion. Yeah, man, I'm very interested in kind of see how the season comes along, right?
Hey, I love it, Sanjit. I love it.
Absolutely. So here's how we would take a step back. So even if we improved on defense, our offense would take a step back if our O-line does not protect Derek Carr, right? We have Alex Leatherwood. What if he gives up 10 sacks, right? Colton Miller's rookie year, Derek Carr was sacked, 57 times or something like that. Alex Leatherwood's a rookie. He was sacked well over 50 times his rookie year. Yeah. So don't quote me on that, man. But I'm
just saying. I know Colton Miller gave up double-digit sacks.
No, Colton gave up 17 sacks his rookie year.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How are you going to win with that?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the only way the Raiders take a step back on offense is if that O-line does not produce, which is great because that's our next topic, man. We're going to talk a little bit about the offense line, and this will be the final topic. I want your guys' thoughts, man. I'm pretty sure we all agree from left tackle to right tackle, minus right guard. We might have different opinions because, Andy, I saw your video earlier today, and I saw that right guard position, and I saw JS as the symbols, and I kind of thought about it. So left tackle to right tackle, just both of you guys give me who your guys' starters are. Andy, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I think left side is pretty simple. You got Richie and you got Colton Miller. Obviously, you extend Andre James to be your center of the future. Your right guard position right now, I had it written down as Denzel Good. I had it written down in my mind as Denzel Good. But when you start hearing that, like you just said, what if Alex Leatherwood gives up X amount of sacks? Now you have a very, very, very good, solid guy to back up Alex Leatherwood to the point where he wouldn't give up double-digit sacks because you have that good security blanket with Denzel Good. But with hearing that John Simpson can actually, just like with the wide receivers, if they want Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs to start, if they really do want John Simpson to start, I really can see Tom Cable pushing for John Simpson to start over Denzel Good. Now, we don't know how true that is because one dude just got $8 million and the other one is still on his rookie deal, right? But $8 million is tough for a guy to play that swing tackle or just a rotational guard. But I would have week 1. I'm gonna put John Simpson as that right guard, and then your right tackle is Alex Leatherwood. That's would be my starting 5.
Okay. Can't disagree with a lot of that.
What was your right guard one more time?
Simpson.
Okay.
John Simpson. Okay. What about you? What do you think, DG?
I'll keep everything the same besides Simpson.
Who's your right guard? Is it good?
Yeah.
So all right. So then I want to ask you guys this.
And I just want to say I remember someone way earlier in the chat because I don't want to forget. I remember they brought up the offensive line. I just want to bring it back on the topic. I forgot what they asked.
Paul asked about the offensive line. If one guy gets hurt, what kind of happens, right?
Yeah.
Which is
and I just wanted to say, and I think with that, I think we're cool. I think with the Morrissey, Martin, which is flexible at guard, also good, play tackle or guard. Like we were talking about, we're debating who could play right guard right now. So that shows we have depth, right?
Absolutely.
So I just want to answer that before I forgot.
Thank you for the reminder because I totally would have forgotten. So thank you. So yeah, Paul asked about the offensive line. He left a super chat and he definitely asked about what happens if a guy gets hurt. Now, Andy said that he thinks, if having good as the backup potential in case Alex Leatherwood struggles. If he does struggle, right? Let's say week 5 comes around, he's given up 7 sacks already, and we're about to go into week 6.
Oh no!
He's giving up a lot of sacks. He's struggling. Do you replace him and you put in Denzel Good and you bench him like he's a first-round pick, or do you stick it out? How do you handle that situation? Because that could kill his confidence.
I feel like if we had somebody to play instead of Colton Miller that year, his rookie year, he played because we had no depth, right? He had to play.
That's a good point.
Now, if Alex Leatherwood were to give up 7 sacks in 5 games, God forbid, I'm throwing Denzel Good in, not for his confidence, but for the team. Like you said, we are Raider fans. We're not Alex Leatherwood fans, bro. Like, if Denzel Good is going to give up 1 sack and the other dude is going to give up 7, put the other dude in, bro. I really don't care. Like, confidence or not, you can get that in the offseason, but we're trying to win games. Like, we're trying to go to the playoffs right now. So that's just what my opinion on that. But yeah.
What do you think?
I think that he sticks it out. Even if he's playing bad, I'm not saying that I would want him to stick it out or anything like that, but I think that he does as far as like our coaching, as far as Gruden and stuff like that. I don't think we take out our first rounder, honestly. That like just based off of history, unless you have some crazy injury, you're gonna be on that field. And I think history has shown that on our team. Colton Miller had to deal with it. Plenty of our offensive linemen dealt with it. Damon Arnett, like goodness, the dude could just getting beat up. He still was on the field as much as he could be. I mean, he came into the league with an injury, so barring some crazy injury, I see him giving up as many sacks as he has to give up to become a better offensive lineman, honestly.
Oh, man, let's hope not.
I hope not as well.
No, I totally agree. So here's the thing. So do you guys think it's more of a scenario if Leatherwood does struggle at right tackle, do you think it's more likely that they take him from right tackle, put him to right guard, and move Good from right guard to right tackle? Is that the better – like, would that happen before Leatherwood gets benched? Because I would say, yeah, that would happen first. But I still think even if he struggles, he's still the right tackle. Like, I would be surprised if he's not. And, the interesting thing is like we're playing some real good football players from the defensive side of the ball this year. Like, we have Pittsburgh, right, with TJ Watt. I believe we play the Browns again this year as well. So there'll be Myles Garrett. We played the Clowney, absolutely, man, which is going to be crazy. We'll play Chase Young, Khalil Mack this year. So Alex Leatherwood's going to be tested, man. He's definitely going to be tested. This might be the hardest, from the defensive line perspective, this might be the hardest group of guys we're going to play over the last 4 or 5 years.
I just want to make a point. I just thought of don't you feel like having Leatherwood, like bringing in Leatherwood, that we could have, like, gained something from having vets like Gabe Jackson next to him, or potentially Rodney Hudson? Like, I feel like that would have really helped. Because think about Colton Miller and Richie Incognito, right?
Yeah.
Colton Miller had Rodney Hudson. Like, he had some of the best, a very good lineman, So I think Leatherwood could really gain something from having a veteran next to him. I don't know if Denzel Good really fits in those categories of Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, but I don't
You
know.
can say that
I would
Coach
have to
Miller's
ask
kind of
Sanjit
getting
about
there.
that. Sanjit's the offensive line guy. What do you think about like having that veteran presence on the O line to really help him? And to your point of moving him to guard, would it happen mid-game? Like, would he come out the next drive and be at the right guard, or would it be he starts right guard the next game?
So I think ultimately it wouldn't be like after a week. It would be like, let's say Myles Garrett's kicking Alex Leatherwood's ass, right? I think they would make that switch in game, and then next week they'd put him back to right tackle.
Okay.
As far as like, is it a bad situation that we got rid of the Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson when maybe those guys could have helped Alex Leatherwood? That's a good point, man. I would say it's not as big of a deal because primarily the right guard and right tackle are the guys that are going to be interacting mostly, right? They'll be the closest among the offensive linemen. Left tackle, left guard, right? Colton and Richie will probably be the closest. I know Colton's probably closest with Andre James because they have that UCLA connection. But Richie has helped Colton a ton. I think Denzel Good's going to help Alex Leatherwood a ton as well because Denzel Good's nasty, man. He's a nasty football player. Like, I think – I like Gabe Jackson, right? But Gabe Jackson was not a nasty football player. Now, he would lay people out. He would pancake people. But, like, when a guy's on the ground, Gabe Jackson's not hitting them again when they're on the ground. Denzel Good would do that, right? And at the same time, I think Denzel Good's a better guard than Gabe Jackson is. I truly believe for Tom Cable's offensive line specifically, for his scheme specifically, I think Denzel Good's the better offensive lineman. And same thing with Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson has taken a step back, especially last year. It was so evident. And the thing is like people look at our players and they look at the current roster and how the guys have produced in the past, and they'll use that as the present, and that's what the player is today. And that was not the case with Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson struggled last year. Quinnen Williams, if you go watch that Jets game, Quinnen Williams kicked Rodney Hudson's ass so many times in that game. And I'm not saying, Rodney Hudson had great plays last year, right? But he took a huge step downwards, right? I think it was the correct move to allow Andre James, especially if you're confident, right? You got to keep in mind, like we haven't seen Andre James play since his rookie year, but the Raiders have watched him throughout all of camp last year, all of the year as well. And Colt Miller, again, before we got rid of Rodney Hudson, I asked Colt Miller about Andre James in our interview, and he said that he thinks one day Andre James is going to take over as the center. Those were his exact words. And I'm not surprised that it happened so soon. I was actually disappointed when we extended Rodney Hudson because I think we still had him we would have technically had him for this year still, but last offseason we extended him. And I was disappointed because I said, I think if we keep him, Andre James is going to be a goner, right? He's not going to stick around. Same thing happened with John Feliciano. And technically the same thing would have happened with Denzel Good. He would have left unless we guaranteed that we're going to allow him to start, right? We chose Denzel Good over Gabe Jackson.
And I like that decision. So who's starting offensive line? I just wanted to. I was aiming more towards the veteran presence. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just who would be that? But I guess you answered the question. Denzel Good, and I agree with that. I like Denzel Good. He's one of my favorite. Favorite signings. I thought we had to bring him back.
Absolutely,
I agree with that.
Absolutely, Andy. I think you asked the question.
Yeah. So then, who's your starting 5-0 line then?
So I agree with DG. I think from left tackle to right tackle, I think it's Colton, Richie, Andre James at center. Right guard is Denzel Good. Right tackle is Alex Leatherwood. Now, here's the thing. I will say that I think Jimmy Morrissey is going to be the backup center. And don't be surprised if we watch him in preseason and he starts getting hyped. I think he's going to be a real good football player. I mentioned this in the past. I think Jimmy Morrissey, and I just made a film study of his. The title, I use a little bit of clickbait, I'll admit that. But I do truly believe that Jimmy Morrissey is a future starting center. Now, I don't think he's a starter in year one, maybe not even in year two. And I didn't think, I thought the same thing about Andre James. I felt he wasn't strong enough. And obviously he didn't know the center position at that point as he does today. And with Jimmy Morrissey, I think his one flaw is he's not that strong yet. Which is interesting.
He needs to
put on weight. Absolutely. And I think he will. But the thing is like, if Andre James doesn't if he doesn't perform well, like, do you guys think we change that out? Like, maybe it's Nick Martin. in the first year, maybe it's Jimmy Morrissey. Like, do you guys think we would replace Andre James quickly? Like, do you guys think that's a possibility?
I feel like you saying that he could be a backup center over Nick Martin. Damn, that's interesting. I would rather Nick Martin because kind of like what Raid the Table's on. He wants guys that proved it already, right? And Nick Martin, he's proved that he could be a serviceable center in this league, right?
Yeah.
Morrissey, I think, just like the reason why Andre James couldn't start in week 1, not just because we had Rodney Hudson, but he had to learn how to play center, and this dude needs to put on some weight. Like he needs some weight, bro, because I don't want him going up against Linval Joseph and we're trying to run and hit that A gap. This man, Josh Jacobs, is going to get his tailbone broke. Like, yep. I don't want that. Like, Linval Joseph will eat Morrissey alive. Like, what is that, like a 40, 50-pound weight difference? Like,
at least, man, at least.
Like, I don't want that.
I totally agree, man. I think that I do think that the Raiders, you don't draft a player unless you feel, in the 7th round especially, you don't draft a player unless you feel that another team's going to want to pick that guy up potentially, and that center might not choose your team because you guys just locked up your center, right? If you told Jimmy Morrissey, let's say he became an undrafted guy, and you said, hey, come to the Raiders, come try out, even though we just signed a center and we just picked up an undrafted, or we just signed Andre James, he would say, no, I'm good. I'm going to go where I can potentially start, right? I might go somewhere else. So it's going to be interesting. I do think that Jimmy Morrissey will, maybe not in year 1, he might end up on the practice squad. Who knows, right? But it's going to be interesting. I'm really pumped up to kind of see how the offense line shapes up. And I appreciate both you guys coming on today. I really, really do appreciate it. I am going to end the video here. I think we had 2 hours of some great conversations, man. Both you guys have, both you guys know your shit. So I really appreciate you guys both coming on. If you guys are not already subscribed, man, Andy is Raiders Football Talk on YouTube. Raid the Tape is Raid the Tape on YouTube. Again, I appreciate both you guys. Before you guys go, man, hit that thumbs up button. If I would really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And thank you guys, man, for coming on. I really appreciate both you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime. I'm always down to jump on.
Absolutely, man.
Darius,
I got a question for you, though, man. Before we go, I got a question I was thinking about.
Okay.
Did Herbert have better players in skill positions than Carr?
Did he have better players?
Playmaking decisions. Oh, I thought you said playmaking decisions.
Skilled players.
Okay, playmakers. Does Derek Carr have better, or does Herbert have better playmakers? I don't know how much Hunter Henry played last year. I don't know if he was healthy. I know he had like ACL injuries. I think Darren Waller's a better tight end than Keenan Allen is a wide receiver. But outside of those two guys, I know Derek Carr probably had the better offensive line. But outside of that, obviously you're saying playmakers, not O-line. I would think Keenan Allen probably did have the better playmakers. The Chargers, they don't have Melvin Ingram. My Melvin Ingram's on the Denver now. Yeah, man, I would probably, yeah, go ahead.
Melvin Gordon,
not Ingram. Gordon, that's right. Yeah,
and their big receiver that Justin Herbert just threw it up to
Williams.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, well, I'm gonna end the video. I really appreciate both you guys coming on. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.
Late.